Hi, my name's Andy Law, and welcome back to LAWhammer!
That was sage.
Yeah, I can absolutely tell. So we are finally back. Hopefully you can hear us. We are obviously streaming live, and we have completely rewired every single wire in this place. That being the case, can you hear us? Do we actually make sound?
It's surround sound now, apparently.
We can't hear them.
It is surround sound. It's absolutely correct.
Don't speak back to us because we won't.
Surround sound.
No, speak back to
Okay, so hopefully we're all
Chat
working well,
tight.
given that we've apparently got chat saying that we can hear you well. Good. So through the course of this is a very experimental stream for us sound-wise.
Sounds great.
If you have any ideas as you're making your way through what we're going to be doing today, and you think that things sound a bit echoey, a bit dull, a bit up, a bit down, a bit crackly, or anything similar, drop some comments over in Discord or directly in the chat here and we'll pick it up.
Nice.
Today, however, is going to be a little bit different. We're not doing a full role-playing episode, largely because I'm still deep in recovery and we have completely rewired the entire studio, and almost certainly halfway through this, it's just going to go, you know what, Andy? Fuck you. I'm done. I just don't want to do any sound anymore, and it'll probably collapse on us. That being the case, we're going to be a bit more tentative. But hopefully, we're all good. That being the case, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? What are we doing? We are doing somewhat of a celebration and a recap and let's say a look back on some of the things that we've done, and a small celebration aside, not just because we have reached 100 episodes when we do our next complete group episode, which, by the way, stuns me, but because also we've had a few birthdays out there that have not been properly celebrated. And we are going to give our new birthday folks an opportunity to celebrate in style. Warhammer what style? Not the same as normal style.
Are we going to have to fight?
Am I going to have to, I don't know, get dysentery and eat meat? Because I'm not okay with that.
I love you eating meat.
Yeah.
Big poo.
You can eat my meat, but I don't want your dysentery.
So, before we start, there are 3 people whose birthdays have passed. 3? And
Sorry.
each one of them, because I am deeply unfair, before we get going, can have XP equal to their real actual age, which we will not be outing. So the young
Sorry,
folks out
my
there,
old age, I just hurt my back.
the older folks over on the upper end in the initiative are like, yes, I can wave my little walking stick. I am so happy.
It's compensation for the fact I can't see and my back hurts. And yeah.
You're going to have to speak up a bit.
Good here. That's part 1. Next, we're going to be taking a quick dive into something that we did a long time ago. We didn't stream this live because we did it before we started when we were still getting to know our characters. And that is our relationship grid. Now, we did a post about this over on Patreon a bajillion years ago. If you pop over there and just type in the word relationship, you'll almost certainly see it pop up almost immediately. We're going to be discussing that out because it's a good opportunity as we move into the next part of our campaign to decide exactly who our characters are and what they think of each other. We did this some time ago before we started streaming, and we posted up the image that we created from that where they wrote down what they all thought of each other. And we've hopefully got that maybe even up on screen. If Aaron over in the corner, Goblin, is it going to pop up? Is it going to pop up? It's good. We'll find out soon. We've got the original one, and we're going to be using that as a basis to redo those as well, so we can get an opportunity to have a look at that. We're also going to be discussing what's coming next, because our campaign is going to go in a very different direction to the one that was printed, and hopefully that's it popping up about nowish. It's going to go in a very different direction to the one that's printed. So we're also going to be discussing that and why we're going to go in a different direction and why these people here are partially responsible for the very different direction that we're going to be going in. Lastly, this episode is going to be a little bit more interactive, meaning that you, if you are out there sitting in the comments, if you've got any questions of us as we're making our way through this, today's an opportunity to ask them. So do feel free to drop in there. I will not be paying attention to the comments as we go very much. So everyone's open to catching anything that may pop up on there. So if you see a question that you think you'd like to see answered, do bring it up. So other than that, do we have any comments regarding the sound that's worth addressing immediately, or are we going over?
Apparently, we are very distant. It's because we're old now.
Old and distant,
Our weak
okay.
voices.
We-
Aaron, can you pop up
The
the
old
screen
tape, old
on,
side, yeah.
They're on two separate ones. But yeah, pop up the game there by, say, 5. Okay, so there's going to be a bit of an
Say
experimentation on the sound there.
That's not helpful.
And again, if you hear anything else as we go, do tell us. We will make changes live.
I haven't spoken. I don't know if I'm...
Andy Lee's is just being a cock.
So I'm going to start off with a question for everyone because we are hitting episode 100. So we've got 2 episodes to go. The first one is the one we're going to be doing next Friday, which is The City of the White Wolf, which is going to involve at least 5 of us. That's episode 49.1, possibly 48.1, something like that. Whatever the last episode was, plus 1, 0.1, pardon me. And then episode 100, which will be Dark Omen, which for you old Warhammer fans will be a name that you recognise. And will be bringing back a character that many people thought were dead.
Was dead.
Was dead. Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
it's multiple people, you know.
Yeah,
One.
could be.
It's Lucas.
Worth it.
It's Lucas. He's fine.
He's just got an extra head now.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to start with a question. Nice, easy one. After 100 episodes, which bit did you like most?
Should have warned us.
And this is enough. Yeah. So I'm literally throwing them in the deep
I
end.
can't
here.
remember what happened last week.
It's one of the reasons we're doing this.
Yeah.
100 episodes down. And also, again, I know I've asked this already, but if you do hear anything in the sound, do please post a comment. It'll make an enormous difference to us because we're trying to get it all right so that by next week, when we're back to role-playing properly, we will have everything hopefully in place. We're going to do a bunch of recordings over the course of the next week as I'm giving them time to think, to double-check everything's working. But hopefully... Yeah. Actually, there might be a good way of giving yourselves a quick idea of which one is. Maybe instead, if you go check up the blog, for anyone who's got a computer in front of them, you can check the 100 episodes poster, and we can pick out an episode.
I
Oh,
think I've got one.
Yeah.
we've got... They're already beginning to slip into place. Hey, Andy,
Yeah.
want to go first?
It's absolutely the lead box hats
Oh,
when
stole
Morsley
mine.
was away. It was 100%
Not gonna
that
happen.
because it was so. We were in the moment. It made perfect sense, but with any objective distance, it makes no sense at all. It's a
It
stupid.
worked.
But at the moment, it made perfect logical sense. And then there was just that moment where we were walking, and like I just realised we were walking around Birkenhafen with lead boxes on our heads, and it just. Yeah.
I think the best thing was that it was Aluminowic's idea, and that's just insane.
Yeah, and we were all like,
Hey,
yeah,
that's
seems
secret
legit.
identity.
What I particularly liked about it was I liked it so much I changed the art for the image.
Nice.
And I completely changed the image and did one with Birdie with a box in her head. And changed the episode art.
Nice.
I look good
Because,
with the
yeah,
box.
that was a good one.
Yeah, she suits well.
I liked. So one of my favorite ones was before stream, where we were playing a ragtag bunch of humans who ended up being undercover Skaven, and we didn't know, but we still burnt down a brothel. While Ed's character, what was your character called again? My guy was Cliff.
Richard. That wasn't the case. I can't remember, but we were brothers.
Oh.
weren't
He
we?
he was Cliff Hunt.
We played brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ed's character was singing Ave Maria
In
in
a
a very beautiful falsetto the whole time. So then I quite like the one shots where we can just like play a character like a stolen car and run it into the ground. So then our recent Skaven episode where every single one of us just tried to be the most Skaven that they could and backstab each other, that was a lot of fun.
I particularly enjoyed that one as well because half of you were scared.
No, that was
Which made it doubly fun. Anyone else got one?
I feel like the side episode with Yume and Alamewife when they went into the Temple of Ulrich and all the shenanigans that happened there was probably the most scared I've been in a stream.
Oh, yeah. Do you know, I was so
Ulrich?
traumatized by that last night I dreamt about our Ulrich and he was giving us into trouble again. Like, that's how scary that was.
The moment where I had to talk our way out of it, and then Andy laughed, and I had no idea whether it was a good laugh or a bad laugh.
Yeah, that was quite a good one.
Yeah.
Good old Ulrich. He's not terrifying.
He was
not at all.
terrifying.
Yeah.
He haunts my dreams.
I think for me, it's all the little Archer and Castle Wittgenstein. There were so many brilliantly creepy moments in that. From maggoty chasms. Sounds
I still
disturbing.
think about the moths.
Yeah.
The worm
Yes.
that kept following
Yes.
Gerhard as we were walking.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
his
also
little
the
pet.
fact that we supported a band of cultists, but
Accidentally.
See?
But they seemed so normal.
Aye, they were nice cultists.
Compared to the people who were living in the castle, they seemed totally
Exactly.
legit. Yeah.
Who were legally fine. This is the grey area of LAWhammer.
I'm going to pull out EJ Cruising's comment there. Ed rolling supernumerate on the second card.
That was.
If
that
you
was-
not
that
just
was brilliant.
rejigging our characters, there
Yeah.
was just a beautiful moment
Yeah.
in there.
One of my things is based around dice rolls as well,
Uh-huh.
and it's very egocentric because it's one of the solo episodes. So and I don't care, because I'm awesome. It was you need to roll 14, and then I rolled 14. I've never had like an adrenaline hit. And how fucking pathetic, by the way, is this? Boom! Just adrenaline just smashing into my body. Being that excited.
We had that moment as well.
The double crit.
Yes.
Yeah, the double crit was
The double
very good.
crit was pretty
Beautiful.
spectacular.
Oh,
Yeah, we were like,
Because
there's
you
no
wrote
way.
us off, you're like, don't even bother. I was like, well, we could crit. And I crit, and then I crit, and I was like, what are we rolling? And you had just raised your strength. Wow, it was perfect.
That was perfect. And that fundamentally changed the whole course of the
Yeah, yeah.
campaign
Really
because
did.
that guy,
Yeah.
we saved him, the
That
champion.
Guy. You put
It was
his
the
respect on your
champion.
mouth when you say his name.
That guy.
I don't remember his name.
I know. I'm frantically trying to do this.
Schmiedhammer.
Schmiedhammer.
Because we actually did him a favour and saved him, we ended up living in his house and everything just flowed from there.
It's one of the things that I've quite enjoyed about our campaign in general. I very much decided that I wasn't going to channel you. I was going to let you go, and if things work, they work. If they don't work, they don't work. And I knew at the beginning they would be much more likely to work because no matter how much we try not to, certain people knew what was happening. No, but I'm going to do it. And because of that, it means that certain
Not
paths.
for quite a while.
Well,
Yeah,
if you are
exactly.
aware there is a big chaos gate threatening in Bergenhafen, for example, and that's
Yeah,
probably
I'd
wise to avoid.
Up to Bergenhafen, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Past that, not so
Well,
much.
Yeah. All a bit hazy.
It's all a bit easy after that bit. Yeah, quite. So I was aware it would largely land in those first parts, but after that, I kind of just let it go where it went. And we have ended up going through, particularly if you look at how we went through Power Behind the Throne, in a very unique route, relatively unique route in terms of how it was handled, which I quite like. And it's going to be very different as we then move into Horned Rat, because our version of the Horned Rat is much like our version of, for example, Castle Wittgenstein. Which, although it was super, super close to what was in the book, literally every reason for why it was what it was different. So rather than it just being a giant castle full of Gribblies with a Frankenstein's monster equivalent and various cultists doing various things and bad guys in armor sucking drinks through straws because they never took their armor off or whatever it might be, there was a whole story for why the place was in place. It wasn't just a random dungeon that you were bashing, so to speak, that had lots of philosophers' names attached to it. Wittgenstein, for example. Young Freud.
I think that episode was the one. So you know how when you play with different GMs and things like that, they've got different flavors and different styles. I think that's when I sort of like started to figure out properly your style, and it was as we were leaving. So I don't know if you remember this, but it was awful, and we were all so tense and dragged out because we were doing the dice of
Doom.
Doom.
To go down the cliff edge.
Go down
Yeah,
the
with
cliff
the
edge.
explosion.
And we got onto the boat, and I was like, oh, cool, okay, we're out. And we were like, Dice of Doom. Oh, fucking hell, okay, we'll do another one. Boom, another one. And we did like 8 more of like just really tense moments where it was like,
and that's when what's his face dived over into
Yeah,
the
that's-
water. Yeah.
And we all did a really good job of it, and not a single one of us fucked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah.
Every
I
single one
fucked
of
up
us.
before that part and then saved our asses. Thank you very much.
Because you were too busy hugging
But
a
it was-
statue or whatever the hell it was.
No, the fox came and like ate one of the bombs, or didn't
A
fucking
demon or something.
deal
Yeah.
damage to the parts.
I'm rather amused by Hawk's favourite bit. When Gerhardt realised that Alamenoise had fucked his dad.
That was going to be my favourite episode, but one of my favourites.
Your face was
Oh, that was
That was-
hilarious.
that
There's
was
another
brilliant.
secret that
brilliant.
will come out soon about
I've got
someone.
No, I
close to
can't.
you.
There's only so much that I can legitimately take. I'm like, my brother is dead. My teacher's dead. You guys haven't lost anyone. I'm not being like, have you? No.
I've lost everyone.
What,
God.
what a self-centered, noble fucking
Yeah.
Oh, my dad has slept with multiple women and my life is so hard.
I didn't have anyone to begin
My
with.
brother is
That's
dead.
fine.
exactly.
That's better.
You have a younger brother
We can have a
still.
massive shouting match about that. That's fine. Just trying to hold it all together.
Were you going
You're
to say
just
something
sad
at the
because
end?
your dad loves me more than he loves you.
Fine. Shut up!
But was there an end to your Andy's style thing?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Somebody's a host of a certain show where they ask questions and things.
hosting skills.
And it was just the realization that lack of fear of it was riding the line, and I think you do that really well in terms of looking at where everybody sits. I kind of trust you to a level where you won't do things specifically to be a dick.
Yeah, spitefully.
Someone else we can mention.
Yeah. Who's that?
The man who blew up.
I had a character. It was a role.
I loved your.
Andy
I
made him
loved
play
your-
that role.
It was
so-
Andy all along.
One of the reasons why that episode in particular was for me super important because if I'd played it traditionally, the traditional run through would have been you'd done your adventure, you'd saved the royal family, everything was great, and then the next session you turn up and you're all blown up. And you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Andy.
We're winners. We're bloody winners. Why haven't we won?
So that happens.
Okay.
Pardon? That does happen then.
No, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
in the original book.
And the original
Yeah.
book doesn't happen. No.
Okay.
This is very much our version.
Wow, we are.
Our
Red
version
piece
has,
now.
you've gone in directions largely because of your own actions. You've caused some other people to react. Because once the world goes, it goes. And it will go wherever it goes. People will react the way they react. But that would have been a big blow up and it'd been rubbish. And you'd have just been going, well, our great victory has been in many respects stolen from us, and plus it feels super arbitrary. But when you're then put in the position of having the agency to make those choices, and succeed or fail, or really, really succeed, it makes it much more impactful, and it also makes it acceptable. So we can have some really crazy moments for the PCs that are outside of the PC's sphere of influence, and it feels very unfair for the PC stuff to go through that. But simultaneously, the players are the ones that are causing it to happen, which makes it,
So
I think, a
It's
little
our
bit
own fault, is what you're saying, Andy. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought of another favorite moment
Oh, yeah,
when
favorite moment.
Dan and I played twins, and then afterwards I got the fate point.
Cut
Yeah.
stream.
That was
You're out.
chef's
Ridiculous.
kiss.
It was beautiful.
My
Oh
favorite.
yeah, Andy's a very fair GM. He just told us fill us in, we'll give you a fate point, and then suddenly you're sharing it because you're the same person.
I mean,
First,
My favorite episode, I think, on balance, there's been lots, mostly when it turns out something's been revealed that wasn't known. Sometimes even to me, I didn't know about Elemenwith, but my favorite one was the Magnus one where we played in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was amazing, and I also think that it really shows the difference in your Wifrip. Magnus was gay or maybe bi, maybe pan, who knows? But he had an elf lover who was a man, and it just everything about it was just an excellent episode. So many revelation after revelation after revelation. Plus, your acting was exceptional because Magnus literally at the end just broke down and just
He did.
broke. It was amazing.
And we're still feeling the repercussions of that
Yeah.
episode now.
Yeah.
the good part of that, I think, was the realization that actually, he was way messed up inside. You know what I mean? He was literally just a dude.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He was.
And
Yeah.
because of the Warhammer world being the Warhammer world and Sigmar literally being back in the day a dude and is now a deity ish. I don't really entirely
Yeah,
understand.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magnus theoretically could have done that. That's a route that's been traveled. So if someone's trodden it, then you can do it again, right?
Mhm.
So, but then
many saw
just-
Magnus as Sigmar Reborn.
Yeah.
Quite literally
Yeah, exactly.
a manifest divinity, according to many.
Yeah.
And I'm quite
And-
sure that when the old world is released, it's released already, obviously, but they're on the path towards the great chaos incursion that Magnus brings to a halt.
Yeah.
And when they bring Magnus into the old world, he will be pretty much a walking example of perfection, because that's generally how they pitch their heroes.
Yeah.
And whilst the novels may bring some complexity, you often find that the core heroes, take Karl Franz, for example, and how he's pitched inside Warhammer's general He basically
Mr. Perfect.
He's Mr. Perfect, exactly. Where we were doing quite a lot to effectively undermine those ideas and show that they're people, and often very flawed people.
I have another favourite bit because it's been about 20 minutes and no one else has said it. Elric being an absolute fucking stud against Dagmar.
A legend.
I had planned this out that I was going to have one big fight, that I was just going to spunk all my fate points, just put them right out on the table, and it just worked because I think everyone would have just been annihilated by that purpose.
We would have all had to spend fate points multiple ones.
That was so tense.
Big win.
It was.
On that whole thing in general, it's one of the things I particularly loved about where we've gone with our campaign. I had expectations for where it would go because you're aware of the primary beats if you're obviously orchestrating the whole affair. I expected Magritte, for example, to be dead. I expected Dagmar to kick your asses. That was the expectation was he was going to probably win there. It didn't necessarily mean he was going to win overall because he was in a very bad place. Everything had gone out of his control by that point because of your interactions with the world. But I expected him to survive that, and it has been the repercussions of those as they then ripple down into the later plots that have been particularly fun to see unfold. Now, obviously, you're just walking down one story path, so that is the story that you have, and you're unaware of all the other things that could have or perhaps would have occurred. You don't know the different outcomes that we might have had in Reichland, for example, with the various conflicts that are going down there and the impacts that you've had because you're all intimately related with them. And I think that very much talks to one of our core decisions right at the very beginning, which was not to make the enemy within a story that you stumble into and you are caught up with, which is the typical way of running it. Instead, the enemy within story is your story, your character's story. All of you are intrinsically linked with every single step of this campaign. And that will become more clear as we move into the Horned Rat. So it's actually your story. So as you do things, the greater events are very much changing because you are impactful in the greater story, not just because you happen to stumble into it. And for me, that's made it super fun because I've run this campaign. I don't know, I've run this campaign. I started it about 27 times. I say 27. I'm making that number up. I literally don't know how many.
But that's probably about right.
It's about right. I mean, I've run it through twice before I even came down to Edinburgh. And I've run it a lot, and every single time it has been a campaign about a bunch of nobodies getting caught up in it. So for me, it has made this campaign completely different, and that for me has been super enjoyable.
That relates to a comment that I saw on one of our videos recently around a lot of online guides telling people don't be nobles, don't let your players be nobles, don't let your players have like big power players in the world, and that the way that we're doing it now is somewhat different than a lot of how it's sort of told to operate because you have too much ability to change things in those environments. But if anything, as a noble, it's annoying to expect things to happen because you're a noble and then go, oh no, there are bigger nobles always around you.
Or you're a noble without your infrastructure in place. You don't have all your servants in your castle and your
disposable.
I think that's always been a thing. Like, as powerful as we think we are, we then meet someone.
So
like
bigger fish
who's got fucking attractive 4,000. It's like, I get a +1 to my roll. She's got 84 successes. So.
She's literally a walking corpse.
Yeah.
I like every episode with Boris Todbringer in it because they all get defunded because he swears so much. But also,
Did they actually?
YouTube's like, fuck you!
They all get defunded because he swears so much, especially the C word. But one of my favorite ones was a side episode where he's just like goes off into this like fatherhood dilemma of how to raise a girl, and he should absolutely have a T-shirt that's just like, this is what a fucking feminist looks like. And I loved it, and it wasn't what I expected because I've met Andy Leask and I especially have met loads of these characters that you, Andy Law, have played before, and the Boris that we met last time was so different to this one. Like, and so I had certain expectations, trepidations, one might say, that have been completely like turned on their head because he's so different. Different in age, different in temperament, like different in character. Yeah, and I just loved that episode. It was brilliant.
A good one, actually.
Yeah.
Cat's not had a favourite moment.
Do I?
You have not said one.
You haven't said one.
Yes,
Getting
I
high
have.
on
Yes,
vampire
I
blood.
Castle
Yeah,
Wittgenstein.
Castle Wittgenstein,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
That
yes,
was Andy.
getting high as a kite on vampire blood was enormous fun
That
for
was
me. Not necessarily for you guys.
Hmm.
I still don't think I broke the bone. But anyway,
You tore the tiller off.
nobody saw me do it. It's all supposition.
There's a
Yeah,
question
that
for
was
you.
hilarious fun.
Andy,
Uh-huh.
did you expect Lucas to survive this long?
No. There was a discussion very near the beginning when we were first going through that perhaps we should pitch it right from the very beginning with Lucas opening the entire tale, and effectively it would be Lucas telling his story to Mor. Because the idea was that there was no chance he was going to survive.
You said we had this discussion. That was you and me. Because they were all like,
There's
really?
definitely a we there.
You know,
Because
We're involved too.
Yeah, maybe us three.
I couldn't remember who it was, so I
We
just
might
said
be
we.
driving back from Kath's house.
There was a host of conversations had about different ways to pitch different things, and one of them was that perhaps we open up with Lucas, because Lucas, by this point, because we played about a year's worth of role playing,
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
By this point, and Lucas now had an eye patch to be stabbed through. He was limping. He was proper broken.
He was
wasn't-
Operation Human Shield.
Yeah.
Right. Get behind Lucas.
He'd been kidnapped by beastmen. He'd been involved with horrendous, just really horrendous beastmen horrors, and generally had a bad time of it. And I was like, yeah, he's going to die. And I expected him to be dead. And it's been super cool to see him both survive all of that, and also to see his relationships change as that's gone on as well. I've enjoyed seeing his path and the story that's come out at the end. Particularly enjoyed as well that he was one of the characters that went down through Middenheim too, because it's always good to see the repercussions of various acts actually be seen through. So close to death.
I think mechanically though for Lucas as well, because he's kind of been the voice of the GM for when we've needed maybe a bit of direction,
Yeah.
or like these are all talking bollocks. Lucas is going to come in and tell us
Yeah.
what actually is happening,
Yeah.
and especially like when we've got new
helps.
people to the world who
Yeah.
don't really have that context,
Yes.
so that Lucas is able to portray that in world, so that makes sense for people.
He's
who
an
are like,
advisor.
I
That's
have
his
no-
job.
yeah.
It's
But
quite
if
handy.
we're going to talk about the MVP of telling us to get our shit together, it's that gold wizard.
It's Spengler.
It's Spengler.
Spengler.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was just like, wow.
Yeah.
So we got
Spengler wound me the fuck up.
He did, but that's because
Oh, I
he
loved
was
it.
logical, intelligent,
Yeah.
spoke sense,
Wow.
He's
remembered
everything you think
people's
you are.
names.
He was that.
He was the best.
He
Yeah, he
really
was
told
awesome.
you May off
We
as
have-
well.
He was like a better version of Garden,
Oh,
right?
Jiro, fuck that guy.
I love
Jiro.
Come on, Jiro.
Arsehole.
He's a twat.
yeah, he's a dick. We've got some good
Well,
questions
He's a,
coming
he's, a,
through.
he's a good ally, but he's a twat.
He can speak right through.
Well,
Wanker.
after the side episode with her, Yume and her dad, I understand why Jiro is so grumpy, because she sees how her dad treats him. It's like, oh, I see. Oh.
Questions?
We've got some questions.
Someone's-
Go, Gaff.
Andy, what bit of your plotting were you most surprised the party managed to totally skip by doing something unexpected?
Right, so there's a misapprehension there, because I don't really plot per se. I create situations, and they are often at the beginning, and then it all sort of unfolds by itself by what they've done. The world is at, let's say it's on the move. And because the world's on the move, it's not so much that I'll plot a thing, it's that they'll have a bunch of options before them, and they'll do it. And they'll go in whichever direction they go in. It means that I don't necessarily need to plot, because the very nature of the situations are plots in and of themselves. So I haven't really plotted anything, but there are a host of set pieces. Castle Wittgenstein, for example, as a location, is a set piece. And it has a host of locations that they could have gone through, and indeed they went through most of them, most of the key ones, that is. They did pretty well there in terms of hitting the important bits, missing the unimportant bits. That could have ended up being much longer. In general, none. There's no bits that they have skipped that have made me go, ooh, yeah.
I mean, I quite like because it was random based on a crit dice roll, but the
That's
way
great.
we undercut that purple
Oh, that
hand
was great.
plot, like we dealt with that whole thing before.
In
it
fact,
happened.
That
in
was
general,
fun, yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of what I was saying. I am aware of everything that's happening in Middenheim, and they had missed huge chunks of it. And I'm cool with that. Because I'm cool with that.
Yeah, there was
They-
clearly a big
There
thing.
were so
down
many
at the
shows
fighting-
we didn't go to.
Yeah, like
fighting pits.
down at the pit, like
That was
if we'd gone
definitely,
down and seen like the man and all of that stuff, because we were not like an underworld
Yeah,
party
quite.
so much.
There was all manner of cool stuff that they could have got involved with that they didn't. They went different routes. And then with just one critted roll, we ended up completely not just undermining one particular plot of the bad guys, but discovering the whole thing almost by mistake. And that was cool.
And cock blocking you.
And cock blocking Yumi.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing always makes me smile.
Nobody wants a spiritual STD.
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask my second question I'd like to ask, and that's
Okay.
favourite and most hated NPCs.
Yeah, I've been thinking.
Our favourite
Do you know what?
and
I was
I'm
hated.
most hated because everyone hates NPCs for different
Do we
reasons.
want to do everybody's favourites, then everybody's hated? Or do we
Mine,
want to do both at the
mine's
same time?
favourite and hated is exactly the same guy.
I think we all know who that is.
Yes.
Yeah. Dodgy.
No,
No,
that's
Duros.
no.
Oh, interesting.
No. I love the Duke of Kane. I just think he's brilliant, and people, our fans are so conflicted about him. People are conflicted about him because he is objectively, from our standards, just absolutely awful. But like he gets shit done.
So
I
is
don't know if that-
literally the ends justify the means?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
What we've established is Lindsay just efficiency.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah,
you
just
have to do
efficiency.
is just.
No, I just think Handels
Yeah.
characterise him really, really well. I think like when you meet him, he's like charming, he's quietly spoken, and you're absolutely terrified of him. He's probably not fallen to the dark gods. That's what's scariest about him, that he genuinely thinks he's doing what's right for his own soul and for the souls of his family and the people around him. But he's awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. But I think he's brilliant.
Team.
That's,
Yeah.
that's favourite and hated.
That's probably my favourite, not my most hated. My most hated is probably, I don't know. You'll have to come back to me on that.
Perhaps move another favourites.
Rickard, well, no.
He was lovely.
Because he's such
Who?
a sweetie.
You don't watch the side streams.
No,
You
I
don't know
don't.
many of these great
So-
characters.
Yeah.
So it's
So
worth
I-
pointing out that Ed purposely avoids the side streams and doesn't know these other stories.
So that when it comes out, I go,
Yeah.
"What's going on? What are you talking about?" And then we
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
can have a good chat about it. So,
So-
he encounters it for the first time.
Not for any reason. I just don't watch
Rickard was a Knights Panther, horribly injured, that Birdie accidentally bumped into in Reichland when she was lost. Maybe not so accidentally, it turned out. And he got on very well together. And she writes, he's like a little pen pal now.
Oh,
He's
that's
a real
nice.
sweetheart.
And he's going to be so excited you've become a Knights
Yeah.
Panther.
I know.
He's going to be so happy. Maybe he could even send you some money.
That
He's
was
very
right at
quick.
the very beginning of her
Well,
first
yeah.
tale
But
of
I mean,
Hawthorne.
he's quite old. He might get so excited that you become a Night Panther that that's the end of that relationship.
That's why
He's
when
very
she came
aware.
back to the bar, she was wearing a Knights Panther
Towel.
towel.
Oh, I see. I've never done what that's been about.
Because she went in and scammed her way into the place because she had nothing else to do and ended up staying with horrendously injured chappie. Who was,
Who told
that
really
went
good
very well.
stories and
Like
got
that
him
one.
very drunk.
Anyone else got a fave?
Move on the line.
I have like an in-character favorite, I would say.
Yeah, that's as
Elric
good as any other reason.
liked Engels a lot, even though
Engels.
he's
Yeah.
lied through his fucking bare teeth.
Yeah, well
Like,
dodged.
Yes.
He is well.
But they got on really well.
Christoph
and then he
Engels.
got him on his little thing to meet. Someone's mentioned in the comments, Filoni your pearls.
My name
As
is
everyone else has met her at some point.
Apparently, like have you seen her on the poster? She's actually quite attractive, but her voice is so bad.
And just her general demeanor is quite
General
awful.
demeanor is awful. And I was like, that's my
But she gets shit done, Lindsay.
She does. I like her. I do like her.
But I think Engels was one of the first wizards that Elric met that wasn't a prick or a bright. Basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of educated him a bit in the world and how wizards fit in as opposed to what he was told in the college.
Yeah, totally. They're in the end people, and some are good, some are bad, some are truly awful, some are very powerful, some aren't. Yeah. I quite like Engels. I think he was first added in 3rd edition Warhammer as a character. He became quite core in the Ubersreich game, so Vermintide. And finding more about the character and what that character is much deeper in Vermintide than it was in 3rd edition Warhammer. And when I was discussing Ubersreich with the folks at Fat Shark, Engels popped up more than once because I was intending using Engels in one of the books. So it's been quite fun presenting a version of Engels that is everything Vermintide suggests and more. So yeah, that's been quite fun, particularly given that Vermintide goes in a direction that very much matches what we've ended up doing with them, which is super cool. Any other thieves out there?
So I'm torn between two, right? So like for a long time I would have said Sister Habercorn because obviously she's important to my character, but also I wrote lots of her stuff in the Ubersreich book. I'm like I've mentioned this before, but when we did the Ubersreich side streams, like getting to play out the little plot hook that I wrote in the Ubersreich book.
I did that on purpose, by the way.
Particularly because I was like a third of the way through before I realised, and I had a little moment on the stage like, oh, we're doing the thing! We're doing the thing! Woohoo!
So, for those of you who might not realise, there's a bunch of adventure hooks inside the starter set, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set, and Andy wrote a significant chunk of those. And one of those adventure hooks involves one of the young Freuds, a young kid. And if you watch the episode, you're aware of how that plays out in our version. But Andy wrote that hook. And I very much, when I was going through what we're going to do with Leopold when he's here, what does he want to do? He told me what he'd like to do. And I was like, well, why not do exactly what the starter set suggests? And that's use the adventure hooks. And in many respects, a good chunk of our Ubersreich material was nothing more than visiting bits of the starter set. Because it was fun, because we'd written large chunks of it, so that was super cool. Birdie did exactly the same thing. She was running down on one of the adventure hook adventures.
Elric did one as well.
Elric did one as well. Sage, yeah, you did one as well. You sort of danced around one, and also something that I'd sorted out for another book. I can't remember what you did.
I went up to see the art.
Oh, you did something completely different. You went all over the place.
And we met what's his name?
The Volsons.
Yeah, but before that, Absalom.
Yes, Absalom Trop.
Yeah, don't like him.
And then what was sitting in the mountains?
Yeah, exactly. Scary. Fendelin is adorable though. Like he's a good character.
So that for a long time, but coming up like very close, I really like what you've done with the High Capitular, because again, we've met him in previous games, and he's very different, and particularly in Leopold's little side stream, where like he from other people found some backstory and then saw some of that play out in front of him very rapidly. It's like I did not see that coming, and I just love that. I love it because like much like Leopold is a very unconventional Sigmarite, turns out so is his High Capitular, and turns out there's a reason. There's a reason he was sent to this order, because this is the order for unconventional Sigmarites, and I really like that.
It's good to characterise these folks.
I'd like, if you can have two, I want to, because I like Mr. Snicket as well.
Master Snicket,
awesome.
our Skaven who has mastered what it is to be human.
Kind
He runs human school. He totally understands it.
He totally does.
He can human better than anyone. Possibly better than Birdie.
Ed, who was your favourite NPC? What names can you remember?
This is a particularly...
I just noticed you were very
great
quiet.
swords.
I was being quiet. I was letting people...
No, you weren't. You just can't think of a single person.
It's Lucas. It's obviously Lucas.
No, not acceptable.
And the annoying thing is we've not had the nicest interaction that Gerhard and Lucas had.
Yeah.
Because you lost that episode.
We lost the episode.
That's so gutting.
Because it was really good. You
was.
You physically cried,
Yep,
Andy.
did.
And I was like, oh shit, I've really got to sort of bring up my game slightly now.
It was a good one. So,
it was really touching. Like, it was just, we were kicking around outside of Ubersreich.
Castle Newfoundland.
Yeah, Newfoundland was like in the backdrop. We went for a little stroll outside of it because we had days to wait kind of thing. And for lack of a better term, Lucas said, I'm proud of you. And it was just like, okay, feelings. And it was like, that's why I'm following you, because I can see that there's something good. And it's like, oh, good. Like, and considering there's a lot of like obvious confidence issues with Gerhard and everything, it was a really good, poignant moment.
It was exceedingly upsetting.
Lucas said the things that like Gerhard really needed his dad to say to him, but his dad's never going to say it.
There's a counterpoint for that.
Yeah.
We'd also that conversation had been way more aggressive than the one when we re-recorded it. When we re-recorded it, it was a bit nicer because we didn't meet McGran that first time round.
That's right.
Second time round, met McGran. because we redid the whole thing.
Yeah.
In a slightly different way. And you did it different enough that it was still fresh.
Yep.
So I just had like a massive bust up with my dad. Me and my old man in real life get on really well. Just so
just to be clear,
like really, really well. We're good friends.
I don't get on with Ed's dad.
That's fine.
Lindsay, how did you get on with it?
Wow.
Apologies to Ed's dad.
My mummy, brother.
yeah.
Apologies to all
Sorry,
of Ed's family.
Ed's
It was
family.
just a joke. It was low hanging fruit. I couldn't resist it. I'm sorry.
Apologise to Ashley.
Also, yeah.
He doesn't care.
So yeah, that was good. So Lucas is obviously Lucas is my favourite.
I'd like to not just actually agree broadly. That was one of the better moments, and I cannot express how upset I was at that point that we lost that individual episode.
Yeah.
We've had a few computer crashes. Indeed, I just had a hard drive crash over my main computer.
What are
on the
you
other side.
doing?
I don't know. well, before today, I was literally through there almost in tears, going, "My hard drive!" Because
I saw Sage running around with a big magnet earlier. Could that have anything to do with it?
It's cute, like this big.
It's like an Acme.
You and your Acme magnets. So we've had quite a few episodes lost over time, and we've got a couple we need to re-record, including for those of you who haven't run through that 100 episode poster, you'll notice there's a couple in there that just don't exist yet, and that's because we have yet to re-record them. There's one in particular which shows an elf that one or two people might recognize if they know their Warhammer lore and go, "What the fuck is that elf doing here?" That's around about episode 14 point, I'm going to guess 1? Maybe 14.2, 14.4, 14.5? Maybe 14.4. Doesn't really matter. I've just thrown my wedding ring away. Obviously, it involves
He's a
Lindsay.
free man!
But the Lucas episode...
It happens a lot.
It does. The Lucas episode in particular, there was this beautiful moment between you and your dad where it had all been awful, awful, and you'd come out of it feeling belittled, small, lesser, particularly because you'd come in with so many expectations which got blown away. And you came out of that kind of broken. And Lucas didn't just do the "I'll build you back up" thing. He spoke exactly what he thought. And there was tears, and there was just really good moments. And at the end of it, Gerhardt was like, "Okay, maybe I can do this." And it was a lovely counterpoint between the two of them, two potential father figures, and how exactly they land. And that was super fun. I do like Lucas. Yeah, good call. Yeah, like that one.
In my side stream in You Fell Young, I failed an empathy check right at the end when I was speaking to Gerhardt's dad, and you were like, "Oh well, then off you go." And I've always wondered, what would I have seen? I really liked though, because I obviously met him in our background playthrough when he was young, and how he had completely changed, and the contrast between them.
Yeah, not entirely dissimilar to Gerhardt in some respects.
He was very similar to
Or
Gerhardt.
Gerhardt's brother. It's almost like a combination of Gerhardt and his older brother, because he was a little bit more martially presenting in terms of how he pitched himself. I mean, he immediately challenged an elf to a duel, for example.
Wave crest,
Yeah.
something like
The
that.
elf
Stupid like
literally
that.
handed his horse. Because seriously, you don't challenge
Oh,
elves
do you
to
know the
duels.
other thing that was amazing was that the way we played through that backstory was different to the way Gerhardt's dad's friend described it to you. He was like, "Yeah, Tame was a second." That wasn't what happened. And I thought that was amazing that you'd gone to the bother of making a bystander get it wrong. And I was like, that's just genius.
Although also it might not be that. It also might be that reality changed. Bearing in mind what happened at the end of that session.
It could also be that.
Yeah.
But I like
and the fact that we don't know
Yeah.
which one it could be.
I can't remember the Magister's, the character I played in that. What was his name?
Which one?
Oh yeah.
In the
in
Punch
the
Everyone episode.
in when he punched
That was a lot.
he punched everyone, and then
yeah.
someone was sick. I was sick over the
Meatball.
Emperor's shoes.
Yeah. So he was fucking brilliant, but he just came across as an idiot.
Yeah.
He was a
I can't remember his
Heich.
Oh, the one where you made up all the.
All the
Yes.
names from
Boogly
Boogly
boogly,
Boogly.
boogly
He
boogly.
referred to them in the correct speech.
That was good.
So
That was funny. Every time you dropped another one, I could not keep it together.
yeah. Sage, who was yours?
A really small but good character all the way back of Yume's first side stream was France.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
France.
I
Everyone's
kind
favorite
of
psychopath.
do
Yeah.
want
He
to
was
go
lovely.
down to none.
No.
Hopefully she survives that long so that we could see him and she can introduce him to everyone. But my favorite proper character probably Emmanuel Nacht.
She's kind of cool.
He's cool.
Manuel Nacht was a character that I added to the starter set because we needed to make sense of some of the politics that were going on there. And it was based on a character that I had built about 20 years earlier. And she was originally based on Emma Knight or Emma Peel from the Avengers, the original Avengers show.
Yeah, I can picture that.
And
actually.
she was
Karen
married.
Marvel.
She was
not that one.
no, not that one. She was married to, I forget his name, someone Knight, which is why in this which is why we've got Nat, Emmanuel Nacht. Many of the NPCs that I created back then, particularly for Warhammer, because I was strongly influenced by what Jack Yeovil / Kim Newman had done with many of his stories, where he had taken real world and fictional characters and incorporated them. Detlef Sierck, for example, one of his more famous characters, is just based off Detlef Sierck, the German filmmaker. And he
Filthy Harold is based
Filthy
off
Harold.
Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry. Yeah, quite. And I had done that
Throwing knife.
for many of my characters, somewhat similarly to how, say, for example, Alan Moore had picked up in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen all of the various fictional characters of the eras and popped them in and used them and repurposed them for his own stories. And I had done something similar. It also meant that it was very easy to make a whole slew of NPCs because you already had those characters in your mind. It made it easier to portray them. Particularly if you're like, it's this character but, or it's this character but, it's a starting point. And then as you use those characters, they become their own characters. But Emmanuel Nacht was originally based on Emma Peel. She was both a brilliant, cutting it down very simply, she was both brilliant in terms of her academic capabilities, but also very physically capable, and she had been around the world. In her case, she had been in Cathay and Nippon and everywhere else because she was the daughter of an ambassador to the East, one of the earlier ones.
Did she lose her baby?
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
I get it.
I don't. This is no.
I've been around the world. I can't find my baby.
And she was slagging my singing before the
I
show.
know.
I just want this to be made
Yeah, I
aware.
was.
Yeah, that. So, yeah, I quite like her. She was added purely to start the Purple Hand plot in the starter set. That's why she was originally added to the starter set, because her father had been killed by the Purple Hand, and she was deeply interested in pursuing them, as you know, because that came out during the stream.
Yes.
And she was personally involved with trying to bring them down, which is why she was personally involved with taking control of Ubersreich, because they didn't want her in Naldor. They got rid of her. And that's fun. And yeah.
It's a nice counterpart between Yume, daughter of an ambassador, and
Yeah.
Emmanuel, daughter of an ambassador.
It's one of the reasons why she was an important character to bring in, so that we could have those, not only that plot introduced, but introduced in a way that showed that your character was a part of that ongoing apparatus. The whole stories that we're building there, Yume was very much involved with, or Umi, I suppose, if we're going with our actual
Who knows?
Sumi.
Yeah.
Sumi. Yeah.
Underscore
Who,
Ume.
this is all
Yeah,
too
underscore
lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
Who do we hate?
Who do we hate?
Did you do a love? Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you hate before we do the other questions?
Ooh.
I also really liked Signal Girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
She was
She
fab.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
Theodora.
Yeah.
Theodora.
Holzenauer.
She was great.
So Theodora Holzenauer is a character that I've used in a couple of places. Was originally one of Lindsay's NPCs. PCs, pardon me.
I mean, like,
for
she
third
was
edition
good, but she
Warhammer
wasn't as good
Roleplaying.
as the OG.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to her.
She's also mentioned inside the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay core book, as I recall. She's in one of the quotations as
Yeah, she's-
engineer, I think,
She
as
is.
I recall. She's also marked on the map of the Reichland, because she did the surveys for the map of the Reichland. It's inside the sleeves for the cover of the book.
Yeah, I was really disappointed because around that time, Gerhardt was looking for someone to marry, and I thought that Theo would like have been the perfect match for him.
Yeah.
But then he met, yeah,
that chat.
exactly.
Wouldn't work,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Too
sad.
good for you.
Probably.
In terms of hatred, this isn't my choice, but a lot of the chat are saying, and I think everyone will agree, Gideon.
Oh, God.
Fuck that little guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, I don't care one way or another
Because he was played so well.
Yeah.
Like, it's so creepy and just, ugh.
Is Gideon the skin changer, or if you tell us right? Okay, so as the actual skin changer, knobhead, like that whole shtick in the like that pissed me right off. Not necessarily Gerhardt. I might let that note go.
Which bit?
You know, he's copying us.
Oh yeah.
Awful. Didn't like that at all. But as Gideon, great. I always enjoyed when he turned up because I just thought it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and he always sort of went in your head first.
Yeah, because I could hear it.
Watch you go. Oh
no! I hate him. I personally quite like the bit when he was trapped, and it was trapped. I think would be more accurate. When it was trapped
within the
within the circle by Mary Peter.
Just the one.
And
just the one trap.
It was then put in a position where it was forced to say certain things that it wouldn't otherwise have said.
Yeah.
And that, but again, always seen through its particular unique view. And that for me was quite a fun moment, one that I did not expect to happen. It happened because of the choices you made and the fact she was there, and she definitely would have chosen that as a potential outcome, and you decided to take it. I was like, holy shitballs, we're going to be doing demonic rituals. Oh yes! But that ended up with a very different view on a character that was, in the very first edition of The Enemy Within, abandoned in Bergenhafen and never touched again. And when we were planning the rebuilt version, it was always going to be a recurring character throughout the entire campaign. And
don't say that. That means we might not be done with him yet.
Well, plans and actual outcomes, two very different things. And yeah, it was fun to do that part. I like that.
I hated. Who did I hate? I had it in my head and now I've forgotten who I hated.
Good conversation there, Lindsay.
Thanks.
Loved it.
Circle back to
I can specifically tell you someone who I've hated.
Yeah.
And now don't hate anymore.
Who's that?
Interesting.
Develop Greta.
Oh yeah.
You really hate
I hated Greta.
You
God, she
really
was.
hated
Oh,
Because she's so efficient.
Are we getting a theme?
She really gets things done.
Yeah.
I really like Greta.
She made us look bad.
She
exactly.
Yeah.
She was awful.
No.
That's it. I'm not a fan of Greta either. To be honest.
She's still got
that's fine.
fast.
But
It's
hang
quite
on.
good.
When she first met Gerhardt and in our side stream, she thought that you knew who she was.
I know.
No, but I think she behaved really differently, and we were like, who the fuck is she? Like,
Yeah,
why is
'cause
she
that-
being so rude to me, and why is she making it like she knows you? What is so wrong with this woman? And
I
it
just
turns
thought she
out,
was rude.
yeah, we thought she was rude, but it turns out she thought you were rude.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but she started first.
Yeah, but she didn't think she did, and neither did
took
you.
that grudge.
Yeah, I
And
did.
it
I ran
was
that
just
for a
like
long time.
completely. We were just having two totally different conversations with her.
And then I very nicely quasi offered to do the
To bang her,
dirty.
yeah.
Do you have to say bang? I was going to be, quite above the level.
So you went for dirty instead.
And she said no.
Somewhat
So
loving.
basically,
No.
You're
We have
pissed off
to
because she
rubber.
Rich boy.
No, the chat that wouldn't work. So we were like, all right, fine, fair enough. And also, it wasn't necessarily something that was wanted to do. It was like, all right, if I have to, like,
yeah,
let's
she
try and
was
save
probably
these
really
things.
flattered.
Yeah.
She was.
And then the whole shtick in the boat, and she was always better, and she was awful. And then we had a bit more of a chat. When we got locked in that cupboard.
Yeah.
When you got locked in the
When
bed.
you got locked in the
hall,
cupboard, and we're like,
yeah.
all right, well, we're here for like hours, so should we have a bit of a chat? And we did. It's sort of like, all right. And now he's kind of like,
She's all right.
She's all right.
she's fine.
She
She's
bought,
a team.
she bought Yume cake and convinced her that she shouldn't like her.
What? I mean, that's fine as well. That was
So you can
Probably
get
a good call.
engaged.
Yeah.
good, lovely stuff. Oh yeah, and then she also negotiated my engagement for
Yeah,
me. So
but she
that's
not
fine.
only negotiated the engagement, she negotiated it with Yume because she bought her cake and convinced Yume
Yeah.
not to make a fuss about you getting engaged from Agree.
What?
Because you don't watch side streams, you don't know
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
else.
yeah. Well, exactly. So
Yeah.
because now I know that's a thing. I'm like, well, now I have to like her more, don't I?
Oh no!
I have a list prepared. I'm racking my brain. Jiro's prick.
Yeah.
Jiro.
Yeah. He's probably got good reason, but it doesn't
Yeah,
make us
probably.
like
I don't
him
care.
anymore. Yeah. He's
Who
meant
else
to, you know.
is the worst?
I'm thinking that guy that you encountered when you were on the way to the place of the Shining Rock.
Yeah.
The
that
knight.
went down so
The
well.
Hochlander knight.
Yeah.
The royalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fucking take a joke, man.
I mean, the guy who's like literally put a bounty on your head.
I would
Yeah.
have fucked him up.
Yeah, he won't be coming
Did
after
you not see what I did to Dagmar?
The people he's sending paid hundreds of gold crowns to kill you. They're the ones that are coming after
Well,
you.
that's hardly honourable. What a dickhead.
But like the little thing where his boss gave out to him, that was
Yeah, yeah.
that was brilliant.
And that's why he's put a bounty
Oh,
on your
yeah.
head.
Nobody holds a grudge
Yeah,
like
actually,
him,
he's a
though.
good one.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, he was. That was a moment.
I think it happened off stream, but all of the Ulricans and Del.
Yeah.
Del
Yeah, that
Bears?
was before we
Yeah.
started
It
streaming.
was outrageous.
Also off
I'm still not
stream,
over that.
the like mutated sausage monster that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
grinding itself and like
Oh.
making we did that
no.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Fleshman sausages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was
Yeah.
like a sausage
There was
monster.
a-
There was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sausage monster who was like,
the grinder, yeah.
I'm having a great time.
Oh.
you know,
But
like
yeah, there was
hated
an
that.
there was an
Back when
Ulric.
Killer Mutants was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an
Back
Ulrican.
when-
Yeah, yeah.
It was guilt free. Go out on an afternoon and just
Slave union.
There was an Ulrican knight, right? And he said to me, "Come to the temple so you can meet the Ulricans." And I got there and they were like, "You're an elf. You murdered a load of people." And I'm like, "I'm not that elf." And they're like, "Well, you look like that elf." I'm like, "But I don't even know anything."
yeah, your
Elemental
profile.
and
It's
Birdie
terrific.
bonded over that.
They
happening,
did,
So had a good out.
But she's still outraged.
Yeah.
She keeps on writing to our
Yeah.
Ulric.
Yeah.
we know she's outraged.
Yeah.
She tells us like at least once a day.
Do you,
Yeah.
do you sign yourself off disgusted of whatever they will have referred to as Tunbridge Wells?
Yeah.
Hawk says hated NPC Yume's mom.
Oh, what a
fair.
shame.
Poor
She's just
Yumi's
trying her
mom.
best. You can't have it
Yeah,
all.
you don't know her. You don't know what she's been through.
You get called out, Hawk.
I didn't like how she
Yumi's
treated
mom.
Yume, but she had her reasons. So.
And we also got to see different aspects of her as well, because we got to see her in the past too, or at
Yeah.
least an unreliable
Yes.
narrator's version of her in the past,
Mm.
when she was really quite different.
I mean, to be fair, like Yumi's mum probably had to be such a bitch to Yumi because her dad just won't fucking step up. So, like, who do we really hate here?
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I can't
Like,
think of anyone I really hate because they've
Yeah.
all got such like shades of grey.
Yeah,
you know, like,
exactly.
Every denizen of every murder house we've ever been.
I tell you who I
Never been
hated.
in a murder
Right,
house.
so we were doing that the bomb episode when you were playing the bomb guy,
Yeah.
and I was playing And
Which
I-
one? I've done 2 bomb guys.
Definitely not.
the
big
necromancer,
bomb
the
guy.
big
Okay,
bomb
yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah.
right? And how
Blue
angry were we all getting when the lady was saying about how our characters
Oh.
were like proper cultists? And we were like, well, that's just fucking circumstantial
So,
evidence.
In the break,
I-
I had to say that I'm so uncomfortable. I feel actually attacked right now.
Yeah. And I was playing a character. I hated myself for saying the things I was saying, but I had to say them.
Excellent role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was just like getting worse and worse and worse. I was
She's
glad
still
when her
alive
throat
as
got
well.
slit.
She
Yeah,
got
but
a
she
throat
can't
slit.
speak anymore.
Yeah,
She
indeed.
can't
Yeah.
spread her
Spread her
poison.
lies.
Yeah.
But it was the character you
That's
were
my
playing.
family
who
you're
we-
talking about.
We never even found out her name,
Uh-huh.
but she was the worst.
Oh, the
Your character was
spokesperson.
pretty
Yeah.
bad too. You were
Yeah.
totally slagging off Alan anyway. Like,
Should I regret creating?
I thought that she was fair. So everyone of her
yeah, none of the PCs ever do that.
Any other hatreds out there?
outrageous.
I don't know if it's hatred's maybe too strong,
Dislike.
but like Julius von
Screw that
Karsten.
guy. Who? Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Julius von Karsten.
He's great.
Because of where he's ended up, like because he was really good when you were playing him, and then he's become, and understandably because of what the world has done to him, because of a certain other character played very well who was a traitor,
Yeah.
who had, like maligned his name and got him maligned, and so he's become this bitter person. He's had to do all these terrible things, but he's become such a dick.
Oh.
Taste
I
so
don't know. I still think
And
he's doing the
he-
work he set out to do.
Yeah,
just
but he is like I'm on Reddit, and I regularly go to the confidently incorrect subreddit.
Yeah.
And he is confidently incorrect. He regularly certain things that were demonstrably untrue with such confidence that people were like, "Oh, they must be true." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Like,
Actually, I think that's one thing.
but-
just
well, I was going to say, but of course, buried within what he's saying, some of it absolutely is true.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. He is a living embodiment of like misinformation, which is obviously the blight on our landscape right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe why he touches a nerve.
And
with me.
I think actually, that's it's been a core story beat in our campaign. That's that. Typically, PCs, when they hear stuff, they immediately go, "Oh, well, that's real then."
Yeah.
And it was something that I wanted to very much show in stream by showing a bunch of relatively extreme stuff, saying that's true, and watching the fallout from that, and then watching a different opinion come forward.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then watching the
Castle
PCs go,
Wittgenstein.
wait, what?
So
And that's an important component because
Yeah.
NPCs get stuff wrong. Some NPCs lie
Yeah.
through their teeth. And
Surely not.
and often
Heavens.
PCs forget that. So it was quite important not just to have that happen, but to have it happen and show that it happened. So that hopefully PCs can come out the other side.
remember when we met Frederick von Ostlin and he did the whole like thing?
Oh, yeah.
And Frederick von Ostlin has then got what's her face? That the guy that's in your college. What's his name? From Talabecland. Feuerbach. Talene Feuerbach has left her post in the Imperial Palace and Frederick von Oslin's got it instead. And Alan Menenwife's been going around saying, yeah, but he's a cultist. And then the other day you said to me, but what if he was just checking whether you were a cultist? And I was like, oh shit.
a
That's a
classic.
good point.
I thought there was more to it than just him doing the signal, though. I thought there was something else.
Was there though?
I'd have to rewatch it, but I thought there was more. There was more than just that
I
one
hope
circumstantial
so.
evidence. There was something about money. There was something about funding.
All
and
the way
money
back
going
to like
somewhere.
episode 2.
Yeah.
And then we got sidetracked by side streams. at
I've
that
been
point.
telling everyone he's a cultist.
I
feel really
I'm
bad.
going to back you in this, Lindsay. I think it was more than just that.
Okay, let's hope so.
Maybe not anything
I wouldn't sow disinformation.
cast iron, but
No, of course
I'm
not.
there was.
Butter wouldn't melt.
It may still be circumstantial, but there would have been two separate pieces of circumstantial at least.
Let's hope so.
Any other hatreds, or are we done with those?
Dodgy Johan.
Nah.
But we like, he's a love-to-hate character.
Well, it's Dodgy Johan. My only issue with Dodgy Johan is every time any of you encounter him and then don't in any way
Don't tell you.
don't get Louisville able to talk to him.
So
Like,
the characters you hate are us.
yeah, it's I mean, I love that it's become a running thing now that
Yeah.
Liverpool just keeps missing Dodgy Johan by like 30 seconds. It's
Oh yeah, it was just here.
Yeah.
Don't you?
yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I hate it. But I love it.
From episode 1.
The one who hit you?
No, the newest killed me. He's a wizard, but he's a cultist wizard. And
Oh,
he was,
yeah,
he's-
the
he
cat.
was in the coach with us.
Yeah.
Oh, him.
him.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh,
Total dick.
I hate him.
Nerd.
Yeah, totally. No.
I actually, when I really disliked Magritte when we first met her, because quite kind of like von Karstein, she was just like wrong.
Yeah, she was pretty.
And there was one particular thing when she was like the children of cultists are.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that then means like everyone would be like, what are you even
Yeah.
talking about? But I came round to her.
Yeah, same with
She
Flash.
got more
'cause-
reasonable.
And I think
She-
that's the thing is we're chipping away at her
Yes.
confidently incorrectness,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas I suppose with Julius, we're not getting that opportunity. So
Yeah.
I think that's in fact, that very point I think was a super interesting one because it was an opportunity to see people who are surrounded by their echo chamber effectively, and the lies that they've been taught can absolutely make sense there. And as you're removed from it, it becomes something a little bit different.
Yeah.
But equally, from her perspective, it seemed entirely real, and also from the perspective of people watching. You get that moment where you're like, well, that's real. That makes no sense. And you get a visceral reaction also. And it was quite interesting because there were several folk who were like, well, that makes no sense. So the world makes no sense. It's like, everyone's got their own opinions.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own beliefs. It's very rarely black and white. And it's something that I think our game has dived into pretty deeply, showing that a lot of people are just wrong. And even when you're certain on a belief, you then encounter it and you're like, oh. And in some respects, the Wittgensteins represented that. You were certain what you were about to face, and then when you faced it, it wasn't that. And it was a whole different slew of grey and other colours sitting up there, which was
all of the colours.
It's like when they accused me of murder and had no proof.
Who was that?
It's like the Ulricans
Oh,
when they
the
accused me of murder. and
Let
had
it
no
go.
proof. I can't let it go.
I'll tell you the best thing about those times was there was a member of the party not with us.
Oh, you're amazing.
Rip Dara. Dara was still there, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
It was a crossover.
It's just outrageous, though. Those Ulricans.
So, is there any questions posted? 'Cause I've
So
not been
there
paying
were,
attention.
there were a couple around magic.
Go for
First question to Andy is, if Gerhardt hadn't chosen grey magic, what colour would he have got?
It was randomised. And who's to say where it'll land?
There we go. And this is one for the magic users in the party and yourself, Andy. What would Gerhardt, Alamenawythe, or Elric be like if they channeled amber magic?
Completely different. So amber magic is magic of beasts and animals, shamanistic, and the ability to come into animals. The wind of Gur.
Dominance.
Dominance and very atavistic in terms of exactly how it presents itself. It's generally presented as a cold wind as well, in comparison to some of the others. And it would entirely change their character. It would be very different characters, particularly humans.
Imagine their experience of visiting the Flame of Ulrich would be interesting.
Very different, quite. The Flame of Ulrich, for example, is absolutely flushed through with the amber wind magic.
Do they talk a lot about being the alpha and all that sort of bollocks?
No, actually, strangely enough, because they live it, they don't pretend to be it. They live it. And the concept of an alpha, in terms of like alphas and packs, it's largely nonsense.
Yeah.
But dominance is a core component of much of how they deal with things, and intimidation.
It's one of the wins Elric was very poor in, I think.
Yes.
Didn't suit him at all.
And Alamenawythe just couldn't, like, there's no, what would Alamenawythe be like if she channeled another wind? Because the only wind she could ever channel is grey and be Alamenawythe. So, like, there's just not, there's no way that she couldn't be on the path of shadows and be the concept that she is.
What winds do we think our non-spellcasters would have?
Oh, great.
That's a great question. Good question.
I don't know the wins.
Well, you'd be Heish because you've got suffuse with Heish.
No, but you don't have to be.
No, but...
So if we're changing her career, we can also...
It would have to,
very close to
have to be Amber for Birdie,
Amber
for
would be
sure.
very close to Birdie.
Because Amber's quite
Stephen
close
would
to Hish
respect.
and it's like coldness. Yeah, definitely
And
Amber.
the white hair as well.
Yeah.
Fur, please.
Light, probably. Ironically.
Maybe he hasn't got a great singing voice, but yeah.
He's a singer.
Yeah, you gotta sing the battle hymns.
He
And it's
loves
like
his
too
breastplate,
intelligent.
he'd be gold.
He'd be gold. Yeah, he'd be gold. No, you're fair. He'd be gold.
100%. He grew up as an orphan. He values money, you know. No, he knows the value of money. That's different to valuing money.
I don't know with the guy. Do you not think the goals are just
I don't think
all
because
about the money?
and there's that
opposed to-
average.
he knows what it
Loophole I
is.
don't think does have that. No.
Well, I
Really?
mean, he gets pretty possessive
Well-
over his breastplate. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean,
And
really,
how
no,
Gerhardt's wallet.
Andy gets upset over the breastplate. That's
fair,
not
like-
loophole. That's Andy.
It's celestial in terms of one aspect of the
Yeah.
celestial. It makes sense.
Yeah.
the
Seeing,
visions and
seeing
all that.
things.
Yeah.
There's the blue wind.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to watch you like fly around as well.
Yeah.
He'd be gold. Or I'll do gold.
No,
gold or
it's
grey.
gotta be. Yeah, Trickster has got to be
Yeah.
great.
Rainbow.
Well, in a sense.
But again, if this would be if she wasn't a Ronaldo, so she wouldn't necessarily be a trickster. So
True.
yeah.
And, you know, the
Oh, then I
magic
think
that
you'd
her
be
family-
Heish for sure.
Heish,
You
yeah.
deal with demons
and
so-
spirits and things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be
Yeah.
good. Or a hedge witch.
A rainbow witch.
So just-
Yeah, I think
Well, no.
because her
Potentially.
family uses kind of like a mix of all
Yeah.
the colors.
Well, a hedge witch is actually
Kabbalist.
like deal with spirits and things rather than.
Ah, okay.
So hedge witch could be interesting.
Interesting.
It's actually a thing that I
Kabbalist.
was considering. That I was speaking to Andy about was what if we made you a head witch? Because we met one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Leopold, it'd be Amethyst. Leopold.
Amethyst.
Because at his heart, he's quite the seriousness of it, the soberness of it.
Yeah.
He's not as aggressive as a bright. He's not as avaricious as a gold. But the solemnity of it, he'd be a lot less fun. But the
Well-
sense of drive and purpose that he had when he was younger.
Hopefully, before you lose your eyesight, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see all the hands.
Yeah.
signals.
There's a question in the chat. I think I know the answer in terms of if it was random for Gerhardt, could he have gotten orange or pink as a wind? And I don't think so because humans can't really
Yeah, so very generally speaking, and I won't go beyond what the group is aware of, there are 8 winds of magic. There are other forms of magic out there, and those other forms of magic are generally beyond human perception, meaning that it would be, under normal circumstances, impossible or exceptionally difficult for them to be able to achieve them. Having said that, though, there's more than one story where Heish was considered to be beyond human perception. And then Volans turned up. And Volans went, Heish! Hey! Also, I can cast all the other winds as well, because I just rock.
I'm totally not an elf.
100% not an elf who's just screwing with their shit.
But it gets to a point as well where non-humans don't even, correct me if I'm wrong, perceive the winds as winds. Like it's magic, and they just use it as they need it, as opposed to quantifying it.
Yeah, and there's it's a very complicated situation, but to answer the question as cleanly as I can, it would not have been an obvious option.
Yeah, but to Dan's point, it's kind of like the distinction of, like, we can't see oxygen, but we breathe it.
Yeah.
I can see oxygen.
Okay.
In the same way that, for
really
example, Pilbury.
Yeah, exactly.
Pilbury can't do magic, but Pilbury is an absolute aficionado with magic. He understands magic. He understands how magic works. He understands how to use magic. He studies magic. He uses it scientifically. In the same way that, say, for example, the dwarves, when they're inscribing their runes, to say that dwarves can't do magic is, as far as Warhammer is concerned, an absolute lie.
But the dwarves will tell you they can't.
Not just because we have chaos dwarves who can, but we do. But the dwarves have just found a method of channeling magic that works with their physiology. And in a similar case, Pilbury has found methods of getting extraordinary results, even though he himself is incapable of channeling the winds directly. And yeah, just because you can't perceive a wind doesn't mean you can't do something with it if you understand that it exists.
Just because you can't fly doesn't mean you can't fly.
Right, get in an airplane.
Exactly.
Everyone can fly once.
Exactly.
Short trip.
Yeah, quite.
But it is a problem with, like, fantasy worlds. So people are, oh, but you can't do much. But, like, we can't fly, but we can still fly. We can't go under the water, but we still make submarines. Like,
yeah, agree completely.
But then there's the argument of, like, what's the famous quote? Any technology.
Any advanced
sufficiently
technology is
advanced,
distinguishable from magic.
That's
But if you live in a world where magic is real,
Yeah.
like WFRP, then, and there are people that can't use magic, they would absolutely come up with physical, scientific ways to use it. Like, we can't channel electricity, but we can channel electricity.
Yeah, quite. The Warhammer world is often portrayed in very black and white terms, because it's often from the army book perspective, where they keep things nice and simple. But when you actually get down on the ground, it becomes slightly more complicated. So there was a thing we were going to do, which I'm about to move on to now, which was our relationship. What does everybody think of each other actually? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, before we went live, before we gathered everyone together and went, we're going live, we took all of the experiences of about a year's worth of roleplay and attempted to sum that up with a pithy, one word, sometimes two, phrase to describe what each character thought of the other. And inevitably, that started with jokes. Ha ha ha! And then turned into, actually, this is what I think. And it was quite fun for us to do back then. So we're going to do it again. And
Still gonna be jokes.
if you're watching, it's inevitable. If you're watching the stream right now, you can probably see in the bottom left-hand corner the one that we did first time around. And that gives you a quick summary of where the characters were before we started the Enemy Within campaign. But where are they, having sat through what, or ran through, or fled through, or sailed through 3 books worth of Enemies Within? Now, exactly what do they think of each other? How much do they actually hate, love, like, despise each other? In truth, I think this will be quite fun. Now, last time when we did it, we went by character, and then everybody said that one. Will we do the same again this time, or will we do it differently?
Yeah.
And we also allowed for amendments, because as often is the case, you start off thinking one thing, everyone talks something out, and you're like, actually, that's not what I think at all. I actually think it's something else. That's just what I think I should think. But actually, in practice, it should probably be this. So we have no issues with everything changing. This is done for fun. But it also gives us an opportunity to talk out who our individual characters are. You often find this is the interesting bit, where you go, oh, I think this and I think that, or at least Leopold thinks this, or Alamanowite thinks this, or perhaps, I don't know, Sumi, Umi, Yume, Barbalumi. Thinks whatever it is that she happens to think.
Barbalumi. Next one.
Barbalumi.
Flumi.
And it's an opportunity to actually see the characters rather than necessarily who they present as. Alamanowite, who constantly presents as one thing or another, is quite different to the Alamanowite that lies underneath, who isn't even called Alamanowite. And that's quite fun. So getting an opportunity to see actual thoughts rather than necessarily the portrayed thoughts is also kind of cool. So it gives us a quick opportunity to have an insight into one's character. So that's an interesting comment there from Stump. Yeah. There's just
What's
a
the
whole bunch of random letters. It looks like Stump just... Oh,
No, it ends.
It's the alphabet ending in Umi. No, that's good, Stump. Well done. Yes, it just looked like random letters, like a cat had walked over his keyboard to me. So who's what we start with? Does anyone have a preference?
I'd like to know whether, like, I've got 2 secret identities. So am I doing it with, like, secret
You're
identity
doing it with
1?
you. No secret identity.
What?
No secret. You're doing it as you.
But there's nothing but secret identities.
All the way
As it
down.
turns out, not true.
It's just scarves.
It's just scarves.
It's just scarves inside
There's
scarves.
a tiny little
Okay,
elf in
so
the
it's
middle.
what she really thinks.
She's actually just a spite of Heish. Wrapped in scarves. Yeah, so
I'd
what
love it if that
sits
was
down at the
true.
bottom.
I'd love it. if that was true.
So right at the very core of it all.
Right at the very
So
core.
Maruvial, not
Okay, well, I
all
can't
the
go
rest.
first in because I've got lots to think about.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. So who should we pick on first?
Can we do a little breaky? And then we come back?
Oh, wait, a couple of minutes away for a break, yeah.
Okay. Alright, I need to wait.
Okay, maybe we should do a break
Yeah,
then.
let's do a
I think
break.
that seems to be a natural
Because
point
actually,
to stop.
yeah.
Yeah. We're all thinking. So we're going to take a break.
We're all going to go piss.
And everyone's going to have a quick think as to what they actually think of each other in a way that's not entirely condescending or indeed is entirely condescending.
Now the truth
Looking
comes out.
forward to it.
Yeah.
It's all going to come out now. Looking forward to
All
it.
of us
See
change
you
it to we hate Alameda.
on the other side.
Hi, I'm Andy. You've just been watching me playing LAWhammer. Hopefully you're enjoying what we're doing, and you might want to go check out our Patreon, where you can see all of the special rules that Andy Law has written for this, as well as all the maps, the careers, and everything that he's done. You may even want to fling a little money our way, which we can spend on lights, cameras, mics, or we can just blow it all on hats. You may want to visit our friendly Discord community as well, where people chat about the episodes and come up with their various theories and conspiracies and so on. So any support you can give us, that'd be great. But whatever you do, like, subscribe, and smash the bell for notifications.
Welcome back. We're about to dig into each other and see just how much we hate each other's PCs. They suck. They suck, and they also suck. But beyond that, we also have some birthday shenanigans to deal with, because 3 birthdays have passed and we are going to give them some stuff. Now, when it comes to birthdays in the Warhammer world, you may or may not know, it is a day that is, in the Empire at least, generally sacred for Shalia. And as is often the case with the Warhammer world, they do things a bit differently to the real world. They don't get gifts on their birthday. They give. You give gifts away to others, which is quite fun. And I think it ties in quite nicely with us tearing into each other and ripping the piss out of each other. So we have ourselves 3 PCs who are going on the It's Me Birthday jaunt. PC number 1 is
It's your birthday.
Mr. Leask. PC number 2, Cap. And PC number 3, what?
Mr. Leask. Don't know why I'm getting the formality.
Just 2 Andys.
Fair.
So generally
Also
speaking,
teacher.
He also-
And Mr. Leask all the damn
Mr. Leask.
time.
Yeah.
And of course, finally at the end, just to mix it up even further, Elric.
I genuinely, like, on that, I've had my dad, when we were out, like, say, no, Mr. Leask's my son. Like, a version of the normal thing. So, sorry.
I like that. That's good.
How does Lizzie get on with your dad?
All right.
I love your dad.
The wedding ring is off.
Before we get on to that, though, we will do our first rounds of PC chatterage. Now, if you weren't here, pardon me, when we started off this particular part, we are going to be building a relationship grid, describing from the perspective of each one of the PCs what they think of the other PCs. And this isn't what they actively, outwardly portray. This is what they actually think underneath it all. And that can sometimes feel a bit cruel. It can sometimes feel really unexpected, particularly when you have a belief that one character is in a particular face, and then underneath it all they say, actually, it's the exact opposite. So someone that you might expect really likes someone might not. Someone you expect really doesn't like someone really does. And it can sometimes be a bit awkward, a bit weird, but that's half the fun of talking it all out. We are not, after all, our characters. And deciding what our characters think is half the fun of it. And talking through what they actually think, because often you don't know until you actually try to talk it out. You start off thinking, I think this, and then as you say it out, you're like, actually, no, I think he thinks this or she thinks that. Actually, I think it's really quite different to what my first thoughts were. So we are going to do it by character. The question is, which end will we start on? Alamenowith appears to be the obvious attack, Alamenowith one, because she's the untrustworthy elf.
So they all need to say from that end. Yeah, that suits me. I'll go last.
No, you're going to be going around each time because you're going to have to make an opinion on each character as it goes. So if we start on that side, you'll have to make an opinion.
What? No, that's not how it
So yeah, we'd say Alamenowith. We'll all go through that. Well,
Yeah,
still,
let's
what do you
start
think
with
about
Alamenowith.
Okay,
But
so
is that Alamenowith will have to go to
That's
every round.
delaying her having to
Yeah.
make a...
Yeah,
She would have
by,
to do one.
by one extra.
yeah,
Yeah.
fine
Well,
with
by 5 other opinions. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah,
Potentially
absolutely.
9.
Well, we start with Alamenowith, I think. Okay, everybody's favourite spy elf. How many spy elves do you know? Turns out more than one.
Yeah. All of
Turns
them.
out there's quite a few of them kicking around the good old empire, particularly if they happen to be close to the Laurelorn. Alamenowith, whom, as spoiler alert, we all know is absolutely not a 50-year-old elf, but has the experiences of a 50-year-old elf, and is complicated. I think that's a nice way of summing. Where will we start? Will we start there, go all the way around, and then skip around one,
Yeah,
and
that
then
seems
start? That means we'll start with Lindsay on the second round.
No.
Or will we spell out that way? What would you prefer? So that means Kath will be the first to give a start on an opinion.
What do the chat want?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Come on, chat. It's in your hands.
Oh, they haven't said anything yet, so let's just keep going.
Too slow, people.
We tried.
Faster.
Someone said Sigmar is nuts.
Sigmar's nuts.
Is that anything?
Apparently, they just
Sigmar
want
is
blood,
nuts or
so-
Sigmar
So if
apostrophe
they're
S
looking for
nuts?
blood, it's
Is,
quite obviously
testicles.
starting with Kath.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Okay.
we get an idea of what we're looking for here. We are looking for a word that sums up the overall opinion. But it can be complicated. It could be a couple of words, and a couple of words make more sense. The first thing, though, I'd be much more interested in knowing, though, is what did you say first time about Alamenowith?
So, first time I felt warm towards her.
Warm. Warm.
Bearing in mind, Birdie was just fresh out of human school at that point. But she was like,
for a couple of months.
it's not long. Yeah, not
Yeah.
long.
Pretty much.
So, but she thought Alamenowith was all right. So,
Okay, so
yeah.
with the peaks and the troughs of the adventuring so far, this is where Lindsay begins to feel very judged.
Because Birdie has been on the receiving end of so many lectures, she still likes her, but she finds her very tiring. She doesn't just get to the point.
Tiring. Is that the
Tiring.
word you think makes most sense?
Yeah, exhausting.
Harsh.
She decided that.
Well, I felt it seemed for a second like you were going to soften that, and then you went the other way. Well, tiring, well, maybe not exhausting.
Lindsay's Alamenowith loves people who gets to the point,
Yeah.
and yet seemingly can't do it herself.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
have you met?
But isn't the point that she doesn't take action herself?
So yeah, I would say sort of, since eye roll is probably not really the word I'm looking for.
We can use an emoji.
Yeah. Asterisk eye roll. Yeah, like,
She still likes.
Exasperated is an eye roll.
Yeah, because she still likes her, but it's like, she's lecturing us again.
So, what does that say about her? Does that mean that she doesn't like having her actions second guessed, or she just doesn't like delays?
Doesn't like the delays and the talking around the houses when usually there's a threat, and the emo stuff can wait till later.
So ultimately, she's still at heart the Skaven vehicle she was supposed to be, and prefers not to think and prefers to act.
To do
So ultimately,
act
act first, think later. Very Skaven.
Yeah.
Okay, and upon reflection on that, do you think that's where she wants to be?
I don't think she would just act on instinct now, but at the same time, there's a difference between coming up with a plan and enacting it and talking about it for hours, and then doing what we decided very early on.
Interesting. So you blame Alaminaway for that general perspective.
I think that's really harsh.
Sure, get your turn.
You specifically asked to go last.
As I said, people feel judged. Part of the fun of this.
It's she would prefer to just come up with a plan and act on it rather than talk around the house.
Like, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
I was going to say, even if it's stupid.
Yeah. We've made stupid plans work. It's fine.
We wore boxes.
So I guess
you two should be much closer.
maybe frustrated is a better
frustrated.
Word. Yeah, just
I like
frustratingly complex. Yeah,
frustrated. I like that.
Yeah.
So at its heart, you reckon Birdie underneath it all hasn't changed. And I think that's quite good.
Not fundamentally. I mean, it's too soon. She's got.
I mean, it's only.
She's got literally decades and decades of.
Or not. It doesn't. To her, it only feels like about 18 years.
Yeah.
All the rest of it is relied on an elf, her, tasting her blood and saying she's maybe 50.
And Magritte as well. She also.
She did. That's two.
Yeah.
2 sources.
And I counted the rituals I'd taken part in. There were 25 of them, 23. So.
Yep.
Did you count the rings in your finger when it was chopped off?
I did actually.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it.
So yeah.
Cool. Okay. So frustrated. Is it? Who's marking this down, by the way? Because we're gonna build this chart.
Let Lindsay do it as she gets attacked.
Love it.
That's how the words will all be different.
Perfect. Amazing. Inspirational.
Father Leopold, what were you last time?
So last time, trust.
Trust. Interesting. That's really interesting, particularly given where they were. So to sum up where they were frustrated. Okay, cool. Unlike Kath's character, your character had known Alaminaway for some time, and they had largely been working together, loosely, and had worked to get Gerhardt out of town, and had been going through the extremes of Gerhardt's lack of appreciation for having had his life saved, and his absolute inability to accept that walking back to Altdorf would be fine. And just presenting himself to the court and going, everything's great.
It'll be fine.
And it took quite a while for him to reach that point. So at that point, she was that. What is she now?
So I have a very clear concept. And maybe if I talk it through, you can help me with the word. Like, imagine that you had, like, and this is something you guys actually probably can relate to. You had a headstrong toddler who you really wanted to protect. It was vital to you that you protected them, but they were in a room full of like sharp, breakable things, and they kept darting towards the sharp danger, and you wanted to protect them, but you also don't want to, you know.
I'd say frustrating.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's not frustrating. Like it's like wary protectiveness.
Yeah.
If you allow me 2 words,
wary protectiveness. I quite like that because it's like there should be something to sum that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the Germans have a word for it.
No.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Any
at
Germans
that.
on the stream?
Or they probably
Drop
just
us a note.
make it one word.
Yeah.
Really protect this.
Babysit.
Fish and people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Parental?
But because the toddler thing was more like he doesn't patronize
That's
or condescend
tone.
her that way.
Rather than
It's
necessarily-
the so basically the rationale behind this is like Alamenoith is convinced that he's really important to save the end of the world. Leopold is convinced that she is really important to save the end of the world, and she keeps putting herself in danger to save him. And much as he loves him, she's the important one and keeps putting herself in danger. And it's that kind of.
When did this change?
I'd like to protect them all, but if she dies, we're all screwed because she's the one that stops us being scribed. And she knows that, and yet she keeps running off and doing other things, putting herself in danger. Blah, blah,
Okay,
blah.
parental with the teenage daughter.
Yeah, maybe
Considering
teenager.
running off for sexy time.
It's not necessarily parental, though, is it?
It's a protectiveness.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just protective. Maybe protective is enough
Protective is
because that implies
yeah.
the wariness.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's a very type of protect. Like it's not like he
Yeah,
doesn't
like
care about
that.
defending her honor. He doesn't care
It
about. It.
feels like
Yeah,
it should
yeah.
be a word.
Yeah.
It
If you
does.
think
It
of
feels
it,
like
we'll come
if
back
you
to
can think of the word out there, please drop it in the chat because
Watchful?
Especially if you're German.
No, like watchful implies I'm more wary that she'll stab him in the back, and it's not that. I mean, she might stab him in the back, but he wouldn't care because actually she's more important than he is, as far as he's concerned. Like he would lay down his life to save her because he thinks that she's important for saving the world.
love that.
So yeah,
It's a nice
So
complex
protective,
little
I think.
situation.
Yeah,
quite like that.
complicated that. Difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So, what does Gerhardt think of father shagging Alamenowife?
That's not an issue anymore. That's fine.
I
I
didn't
would
see there was any issue either.
either.
There was there was no, I think, expectation of an issue.
Weirdly, I've been pondering this over the last.
Yeah, I
I
know.
think it was quite a lot. Quite a lot of issue.
not just before knowing that we were going to do this. And I even mentioned this in the Rookery stream that I was on.
You did.
That I was going to have a conversation with one of you two.
Yeah.
And it is Alamenowife. Because she's flipping hypocrite. She's a hypocrite. She's flipping hypocrite. She lies. Like there's the amount of times that
You only just realised.
yeah,
this.
I know. But no, now it's important because I want something out of it. That's the part.
Sorry, I forgot about your privilege.
Yeah,
points.
yeah, yeah.
I forgot about that. Sorry. 12 points in privilege.
So, what was your word beforehand, just to make sure?
Oh
Bex was
no!
there?
Beforehand,
Yeah. What were you originally?
admire. Right.
Admire.
Yes,
Interesting.
because at that moment in time, she
somebody made
represented
that up
like
for you.
something that was like foreign and interesting, and like and like because he was so closed off and whatever, it's like, hey, have you met my elf friend?
And she
Like-
very capably removed you from the city.
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
which was very good. Yeah.
So you know, and she was sort of around in a weird like watching over way when me
Yep.
and the camaraderie of the genteel were out on the nights outs.
It's true.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot the terrible name for your club. Yeah.
What was your club called?
The camaraderie of the genteel, furthering the advancement of man through arts and culture.
That's right. There's a reason none of us remember
Did
that.
it initialize into anything?
No, it didn't. I don't think so.
That's a wasted opportunity.
Yeah. Strangely, there's a bit of a glitch in my iCloud and my
Oh,
storage
yeah.
is that always pops up whenever I open it, like that entire document, so I always get reminded of it. So yeah. Do you remember when Gerhardt spent some time with some other swordfishers?
Yes.
And a lady was being very annoyed because the elves see us as dogs. And then that led to a comment.
Lesser creatures.
Yes. I look at you because you were that character who was saying.
Oh,
that.
was I?
Yes.
Oh.
And he's seeing a bit of that at the moment, right? Because time and time again, I've lost my teacher. I want a new teacher. There's somebody here that, and I don't care that it doesn't work like that because that's bollocks. Because we learnt it from elves in the first place, so it's shite.
No, you learn from human.
No, not me. There must have been a way to figure it out. So there's that, and also I've got to write the book too. So I've got to study it. No, when there's a will, there's a way, right? And I want to figure it out. Stop shaking your head.
So what's the next one?
It's like teaching a fish to breathe. I don't know about fish.
Do you know lungfish? They exist. Get back straight. Don't come at me, son.
Do they exist in Warhammer?
Could do. Yeah, probably. Absolutely.
Hang on,
Like,
let me just check my
but-
lore magic to tell you how much I have.
What's your lore magic?
Oh, well, now it's 10.
Oh, there you go. That's
But
10.
what's my intelligence?
Do you know how much more that is than me? 10. So far.
I got it last
Yeah,
week, to
but
be fair.
Mechanically, she doesn't have enough to teach it.
I don't care. I don't know that.
Just
Same
say
Yeah,
person.
she's
the
told
rules.
you loads of times.
So,
No, you're
no,
not
but-
listening.
but-
yeah. No,
but
that's how
You're a
he feels.
liar.
I
No,
am
I
a
think
liar.
this is
You're a liar, you're a
yeah,
hypocrite.
quite.
There's literally there's historical issues with elves keeping back information for themselves.
It's frustrating,
That-
isn't
It is
it?
that we have both experienced through vision and also just engaging with other people. Sigfeder also had a bit of an issue with elves. Now, obviously, that was through one of his characterizations, and unfortunately, we didn't see him in sort of that much of a different characterization during the time that we had him here. So I don't know how much. Like maybe that would have changed. Like we saw a bit of him, but that's where I'm at.
So how do we sum this?
Also, I'm fucked off that she's got a reliance on.
And another thing.
That she's
Is
got a
this a
reliance
therapy
on
session?
drugs.
Yeah.
And
Because that's your thing.
I don't have a reliance. I have a partial.
Ed,
will buy
Ed
5
takes
pure
and
drugs.
blames addicts for their problems.
I have a partial
Wow.
enjoyment.
Wow.
No, because I see it as a weakness,
The
and it's
privilege is
not
strong with this.
necessary.
Wow.
And it's not necessary.
You're saying I. Is this Gerhard?
Let me get my hill out so I can stand on it. So I've got a plan to engage this, and the way I feel, or the way Gerhard feels.
Gerhard's got a plan. We're all
within the
screwed.
game. No, Ed's got a plan for Gerhard. So
Yeah.
it's me.
We're even more screwed.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's a
Like,
fun-
genuinely, out of character.
But then also I want her to help me write my journal. So, but the big overriding thing right now, hypocrite. Because if she was that good, and if she could change herself, she could change because she, different faces, all that sort of thing. She could change the things that she says she can't change. Does that make sense? Right?
Absolutely.
That's where it's going.
I think hypocrites
Somebody-
apply to every single member of the party.
Unlike, yeah,
which is
absolutely.
Yeah, it's not fair.
I'd love it if that's what you did for every character.
Hypocrite.
The chat's with me, absolutely. I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure they're all saying. Yeah, Ed's 100%
just says
right.
Ed, please stop.
Let someone else have a go.
Stop using blather.
That's how you use blather. That's how you use blather.
Someone cut the power in North Edinburgh.
Please. That's where I'm at.
So hypocrite. So
Oh yeah,
He-
they're all agreeing with you, Ed.
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
It's only Hawk.
So
doesn't count.
the scales have been removed from his eyes, so to speak, and he has yet to come to terms with what she represents. So I've got a question: where does he sit in terms of her claims of having a religious position, effectively, from his perspective at least, of needing to be a hypocrite? Does that seem like bullshit?
No, I completely accept that, but in that need and the way that she operates, you can use that to change who you are.
What does that mean?
Well, if nothing about you is real, then just you
Be
can
a-
make it up. You're more like theoretically, you are more of an embodiment of what's my wind again?
Madrigal. Oh, you're
Olgu.
Olgu than anyone else I've met.
So his frustrations at his current position
I'm looking at
are
someone
largely being laid upon Alaminaway. So
yeah, a little bit.
the loss of Sigfeder, the fact that he no longer has somebody who can perhaps guide him in those directions, and
Yeah.
he sees a potential route out from that,
But also,
and it's not being.
The other
offered.
thing as well is the fact that you would get that Alaminaway was getting as upset as she was through the explosions and through everything. And like I said earlier, like what's her face? Flipping not Marguerite, Kitty.
Katerina.
Katerina.
Katerina's alive. She's fine. You haven't lost her. Like, yeah, it was dangerous, but she's fine. Like, you haven't lost anyone. What are you bitching about? And if you really, do you see what I mean? Like, I've obviously
It's so
thought this.
confusing, but like
I've obviously
the
thought about this a lot.
confusing thing from the outside is I'm like, God, was I like because everything's like high octane. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not really that fussed about it. Like, what the fuck? It's
Because,
interesting.
because she feels so much, and I said like put it deep down, like just cover it over. Don't worry about it. Like do what I like. I'm literally going. This is what I do.
Yeah,
And you were like, I don't operate like that, and that made no sense to him.
What's interesting is I think what I think what he's saying also is if you can choose to be anyone, why aren't you someone who's really nice all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are you such a bitch?
Yeah.
Men are
But I
from
feel like
Mars,
that's
elves
a-
are from Vedra.
I feel like it's a
See what I mean?
Yeah.
fundamental misunderstanding that Gerhardt has of Olgu and what you're supposed to like.
And
Then
magic.
teach me!
and elves.
It's fine, I've got hypocrite.
but, but I really like this though because what it is it's somebody who's very intelligent but lacks knowledge.
Yeah,
And that's what's frustrating him.
and
Consciously
that's what I want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want the knowledge.
I love it. It's really
And you can see how the blame gets shifted over
Yeah.
to the potential source
Yeah.
where that knowledge could come from.
Yeah.
Don't really
Exactly.
like that.
And also, it's a great little thing for a campaign with each people floating around of somebody going, just tell me the knowledge, tell me the thing, come on. Oh, is it magical knowledge?
Don't,
Yeah,
and-
brilliant.
don't help him.
And by
He knows.
and by a
He
great
knows.
thing, Ed means a terrible thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was going to be sort of played out a bit more in RP, but yeah.
Like that.
Do we have time for anyone else?
Apologies. I
Yeah,
really,
that's it. We'll see you next week.
I really went off on that one.
You find Alameno wife frustrating.
I'd like to change my hour.
As we said, words can change as we progress. Okay, Sage, where exactly does Mume lie with our resident, very tall, very blonde scarf wearer?
So originally, she put down a role model for Alamenoy
That's
because
right.
she embodied a lot of the sneaky skills that she was just better at. I think over time she's realized that a lot of it is an act, but she's not necessarily like upset at Alamenoy for lying because she understands that that's her nature and she has to lie. But also, I don't know, this version of Alamenoy, does she respect her as much as before? Maybe not. So I was thinking like disillusion, but like that's more negative because
It is a mature
strong,
view.
isn't it?
Your disillusion
It's
is
very
quite strong because
strong.
that also
Yeah.
suggests that there was very strong illusions there in the first place.
yeah. Well, but she called her a role model, so
Yeah.
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 It's a maturing view, isn't it?
yeah,
You
like
see them as
this
equal.
version of Alamenoy.
It's like knowing your parents aren't perfect,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
we're still accepting them.
It's like
Yeah.
finding out that 50 years old for an elf is like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not 50.
Yeah, but she is.
So complicated.
I
Yeah.
understand.
So, I don't know.
I
if
view you as a
disillusion
toddler
is the right
/ teenager.
Yeah, exactly.
I get you.
But yeah, things have changed. She feels much more on an equal footing, even though for certain things she is better. But like because she's an elf, she's naturally better at things. But Yume understands the benefit of experience. in a
Is
sense.
there an element as well, because obviously we know who you are now and who she is in terms of levels of nobility, you feel more on a par with her from that perspective as well.
I mean, maybe
Because
I
you're not
hadn't
just an
thought about
urchin
that.
now, are you?
I mean, yes. I don't know how much she identifies with the role of imperial, princess.
I think that's the act.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Disillusion, is that a good word? I feel like it's more negative than I would like it to be.
I mean, it's like disappointed would be more negative than disillusion.
yeah,
right?
because she's not judging Elemenoi for being who she is. She's just
Realistic?
not. Yeah,
More realistic about who she
she's
is.
not on a pedestal anymore.
Disenchanted?
Maybe.
Is that
Yeah,
less
I
strong
think
as
disillusion
disillusion?
is a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do Disenchanted.
The enchantment has dropped. Like
He
it.
still likes her.
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
like
but just the magic's gone.
Yeah.
the magic has
We all
gone.
know each other better now, so all our really annoying
Is that not
quirks are
Gerhardt's
coming
complaint
out.
as well? Magic is gone.
Yeah, you also disenchanted.
This is the magic's there. I just can't get it.
Okay,
Unenchanted.
everybody's favorite right wizard.
You ready, Lindsay?
Yeah.
This is gonna go places.
Okay.
It's gonna go very personal.
Lindsay sucks. I'll
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, you all suck. So Elric originally had grudging respect, I think, for Elemental because you were efficient at what you did, but that's not the case anymore. I think I'm going to hit you with the word first. Sympathetic.
That's a good one.
It is.
Because Elric has been given a prophecy all of his life. He's hated it. He's felt like he's been manipulated to do a million things. But you're living that life. Like Greta has shared about your addiction, how you were controlled over that. Prophecy is such a massive part of your life. So he's actually kind of sad for Alan White for what she has to do and go through, even though it is going to hopefully save the world. But he feels that you're just you're on a path, so to speak, and don't have will in that.
I like sympathetic. I think that speaks a lot to Elric's character as well and the difficulties that he had through his youth. And unlike him, where it was imposed from the outside by an external party.
She's chosen it.
No, it's worse. She hasn't. A different version of her has. She has had no choice in it at all. The person that she is has got literally nothing to do with the prophecy that's placed upon her now.
I don't think that's entirely fair, because she began to waver off that path and she chose to stay back on it. I think you're diminishing her agency by saying she had no choice at all. She could have chosen to stray from. She didn't choose to go on the path, but she could have chosen to stray from the path, and she didn't. She chose to recommit herself to walking.
No, I think she chose to stay herself, which is the person who didn't pick it.
But she chose to do that.
She didn't, because she couldn't, because the other thing was to become somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, she chose to just stay herself.
Yeah, but so she chose to stay herself.
Yeah, like, but would you ever?
I'm not saying she had total control, but she didn't have no agency either.
I'll sort of override both. She's on a path, so there's no choice.
Yeah.
The alternative was her soul would be eaten. So it's not a choice.
Or she could have sought to change path.
No.
That's
not how it works. Her soul would be eaten unless she was under the aegis of somebody else.
That's what I mean. She could have sought that someone else out.
That someone else you don't know is gone. Which is the very stream that I was mentioning at the beginning of this particular conversation with the who the fuck is that elf all the way back in
many
14
ways,
point,
she didn't.
whatever.
Do you know? In many ways, what she actually chose was to protect everyone in Middenheim. She didn't choose to stay herself. She chose not for you all to die, because if she had strayed from the path, it would have been bad.
Yeah.
So I would say it was less about herself and more about choosing, like, not choosing, but being more. Yeah.
But it's still an element of choice.
Like we can.
Like move on to the next.
I
thing?
think Lindsay chose. I don't think Alan Menowith chose. I think I chose for my character.
That's a nice distinction. I like that. Anyway, so sympathetic. Really like that. I think that speaks to both the characters really well. So we're all the way around, and then we start on Kath.
No, Birdie.
Birdie.
Yeah, we start on Kath.
Views on Kath can be very different.
Alrighty. Birdie. Okay, so Birdie started off as effectively the Dara bodyguard. And you could describe her as a bunch of other things, but I think that's largely the role that she was fulfilling at that point. And then shifted over to Gerhardt bodyguard, unpaid.
Thank you, Andy. Unpaid.
Indebted bodyguard. Indentured bodyguard.
And at the point when they last discussed who she was, they had no idea at all that she was, in fact, a long-term spy, Skaven slave, and actively working against them. Actively. Now that, of course, over the course of time, has sort of changed. And indeed, she has been responsible for ensuring that the party saw through things that they would otherwise never have been able to see through, particularly when it was dealing with the Skaven, finding out core pieces of information that she was the only one who had access to. But much like Alan Menowith, a liar to a core. Which we then turn round to Father Leopold. What does he think of this intriguing mix of character trait.
It was funny you say that because his original one was Enigma. Like
Yeah.
he knew straight away that there was something up, but he didn't know what that something was.
I think that's perfect for the good old father, though,
Yeah.
isn't it? Insightful.
Yeah. So now, like, the sort of two, and I guess it's which is strongest, because I think for very similar reasons to what Dan said about Elric and Elemental, like sympathy, like sympathetic is a strong part. Like he can see what was done to her, what has been done to her, and how that has turned her into who she is, and he wants to help her with that.
Touch of responsibility there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think and you know, and I think he likes her and he cares for her. I don't think he'd call her friend because she does occasionally just do random murderous stuff. But
He's got
he
flaws.
definitely sees her as an ally. But I think that sense of sympathy or responsibility is the key one. Like he wants to protect her and fix her if he can. But it's really not in his wheelhouse. But he'd like to. So
You're going to need a therapist character.
So
in about
what does
40
that boil down
years.
to? If we were to take away all the excess water and just see what particular minerals are left at the bottom of the boiling pan, what are they?
well, see, this is the problem, isn't it? Because yes, he would like to do all that, but also if it would save the world, he would like throw her into the meat grinder in a heartbeat. Right?
I catch her.
Yeah. Well, no, but in a good way. Like he would stand shoulder to shoulder, and like he would himself and her. No, like,
Meat grinder!
both die to protect her to stop the world ending. But I think seeing her as like a tool is too cold. I don't think it's that
Call
cold.
me a tool.
Cat, yeah.
Maybe ally is the best.
Possibly
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah, but
Because that also speaks to the things that she can do that are unacceptable to her.
yeah,
They're useful.
Useful.
And because she's useful, you're willing to look over the things that she represents that are unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. She is.
Yeah.
She's got some pretty strong utility in a variety of circumstances where he doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe something
Yeah.
like that.
yeah.
Useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Useful. Interesting. Hey.
Okay. Gerhardt is. It's been interesting actually with Birdie because they've sort of been a little distant for like, quite a lot of things just because we didn't like you know I'd be like here's a book and she's like I can't read.
Can't read.
I know you can read. Right. All right.
You just
I
wouldn't
don't
let me-
care for it.
You wouldn't
You
let
just
me read
run
it
your
because it
finger
was
along under the words and it really
was-
annoys them.
you were reading the enchanted book. You wouldn't let anyone read.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. No, so with everything that's gone through, I'll tell you what it was at the beginning. Apprehensive.
Yeah.
Apprehensive.
Yep, that is correct. And now I think I'm proud of her, and I'm
Proud.
Yeah,
Ooh, love it.
and it's
Love it.
beginning to. I feel like it's beginning to turn into friendship. Just
Interesting.
like the start of it. Like you don't even. You know when you don't even know that like you're
So-
going to be friends with someone yet, but you just
To
start.
interrupt,
Yes.
do you think that, not obviously his thoughts, but your thoughts is that there is a significant difference between Birdie the rat catcher and Brunhilde the Knight's Panther?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Feels like, oh, she's a noble. We
Yeah,
can be friends.
suddenly it makes
Yeah.
sense.
not because of that. Not because of
Sure.
that.
I think unconsciously
No,
because
this-
of that.
this is-
At least
this is-
partially.
it's that's
This
a
has
bridge.
been coming for a while.
Yeah. It
But I'll
has.
circle back to
There's been points where Gerhardt has actively cared for Birdie and like spoken to her about how she was feeling, or
Yes.
or said like
which is more than the rest of you.
what do you think? You know, all that sort of stuff.
So harsh. Alamenow's done it again and again and again.
You stood right next to me. I was like, I understand when you lie. Just because I'm an elf.
Yeah.
You don't know what I think.
that's-
It's my turn.
That's where we're at. Pride with an underlying of above
Pride. I
friendship.
think pride is
Pride is
brilliant.
bang on.
Because I think that also speaks to where it could end up. Okay, what do we think over here from our Nippides ambassador's daughter?
Originally she'd written Growing Friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Birdie, I don't think remembers, but in a initial conversation, Yume had met her on one of her first nights out by herself. Well, not by herself, but like they'd gone to a function and this noble had decided that they should move around the groups and like make people mingle, and so Yume got to speak for herself for the first time, and Birdie was there pretending to be somebody else.
Killed.
And I think that was the first time she got to drink and like be a person. So she's always had a soft spot for Birdie. I think since Birdie went with Yume to see her mom and like had her back just before, I think that has grown. So maybe something like kinship.
Interesting. What does she think of her unique background?
Like, she feels more at home with the Ranaldons than she really did with her parents. And they had all sorts of backgrounds. Like, it's more the person she sees now than what the circumstance of her growth. You know,
Love it.
childhood.
Hey, Elric.
So originally Elric had nostalgia for Birdie because it was, you know, his time out of the college. They met under weird circumstances. We had a dwarf pal. Everything was rosy. He's now going to take the word he used for Leopold last time, and he is wary of Birdie. And it's so gutting for him because he was the closest person he had in the party. But Birdie's changed a lot. And a lot has been revealed, and there's still stuff that doesn't sit right. He'll protect, he will fight and die next to her, but that's more for the group and not for Birdie. Because Elric knows he's doing the right thing, but he almost expects her to have a turn. So he's always just a little bit.
There's a touch of an expectation that one day she's just going to go, I actually sided with my former masters, my former pals or something equivalent.
She's at a distance.
Is it fight next to her but not fight for, or like die next to her but not die for her?
No, he's dying for the cause he believes in.
Right, fair.
But before he would have died for Birdie and Dara.
Yeah, I like that.
Still would die for Dara.
Yeah.
Still may die for Dara.
Yes.
Alrighty. So what's going on underneath the scarves?
So Alan Menowith has, in many ways, been a slave and has lived through it with tame and also other things. And she just looks at Birdie and is incredibly wary because she just doesn't believe that when it came down to it, she wouldn't betray the group for her own, because she was scared, because she was told to, because she just doesn't know what the real person is underneath.
Interesting.
She's
so
just,
she thinks that Birdie is a facade.
She thinks Birdie's a complete facade. She doesn't think that Birdie's ever shown her true self. And she's scared. She doesn't think that Birdie necessarily, like, it might be Birdie who, like, we've had fun together, and but she's like, I don't know, because I've seen people who were like that just flip. They can be there for 20 years, and then their former master comes and says, kill them, and they kill them all. And so she's incredibly wary of Birdie. She thinks she's a good attack dog.
What was your original? Like,
my original one was that she was reliable, that she relied on Birdie. She was a rock. She really helped Alan Menowith through some hard times, the Ulricans. But now she's just like...
Tell us more about these Ulricans.
Yeah, too many times, Birdie's just done something so inhumane that shows that Birdie has no morals. And Alan Menowith just... in fact, it's probably more than wary. It's actually outright distrust.
Is it distrust or is it fear?
Yeah, fear. I almost went with fear to begin with.
Or is she just untrusting? There's a pretty important line there.
I don't know that she's
which side
that
does she sit on?
Afraid she's going to turn.
She's afraid she's going to turn, but she's not that. She's not scared as a person. She just distrusts her.
So if you're going with wary, can we just go for warier? I can be wary. You can be wary.
Or untrusting.
Untrusting, yeah.
Untrusting seems pretty fair. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay, nice mixture of slightly different responses there. As we move to Seer Boy.
God.
Oh yeah, Sigmar's chosen vessel
this is
on
gonna
Earth.
be hard.
So we have a very different character before us here than the one that the father was when we last did this. When we last did this, he was a young, idealistic priest. who was very much a free thinker, who believed that he was doing his best to do the right thing, and had found himself as a warrior priest, very much discovering the world as much as anything else. And the plot that was presented by Amenawith gave him some significant fears for his childhood friend, and that is what kick-started that whole process. And now he is... oh, he's been through the wars, man. Not only is he blind, he is receiving something from the gods themselves. And that received wisdom has brought him down many paths that you would never have walked, and has brought you to successes, mostly, always. There has been downside. Think, for example, the declaration of that revelation down in Altdorf that had lots of negative connotations. So it hasn't always been to success, but it has been to an obvious end goal. And he has moved from.
And we also don't know that there were very obvious negative things from that. There may also have been positives. That
Absolutely. Very difficult to place down. But he has moved from being a figure of almost humanity to a figure of divinity. And he represents many things that he himself as an individual no longer. I mean, there's too many different things there. The man and what he represents. So, hey, Gerhardt.
Hello.
What does he think of his old childhood friend becoming Sigmar Boy?
So I'll tell you.
I might have to change mine for Bird.
That's fine.
I'm still debating you, so we can circle back.
My old one was frustration.
Yep, frustration.
Because
he kept telling you no.
Yeah,
he did.
He kept telling me no.
Older brother priest job.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. And like, I get it to a reasonable. But anyway, that's them's the salad days, right? Them that's back in the whenever it was. Gerhardt grieves for Leopold.
Yeah.
Couple things. Unfortunately, once again, we lost this episode. The Kemperbad episode where we did the initial
lads.
We did the initial trap within a trap. Nobody turned up with the trap, so it was just we just had a nice meal.
You did,
but I mean, one of us almost plummeted to his death.
Yeah, I did spend a fate point there.
Yeah. I was only saved by getting wedgied.
Yeah. But during that conversation, Gerhardt had a pop. Like he shouted at Leopold. He sort of said stop following Sigmar. He's going to get killed, basically. And I want to see you die. And then Leopold kind of came back with we will, like, in this whole thing, like, we are going to die. Like, some people are going to die. And I said, like, yeah, okay, but just try it not to be you, and try it not to be me, and try and, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about these lot. That's changed more as well, but because he's got the responsibility of being a doctor now, so I have to make sure you all live. So, and the more he's got, so that was the beginning, and then at that point, Gerhardt was like, right, he might die, so he's been actively distancing himself over the time since then. So when it does happen, it's not as you know what I mean? You can deal with it a little bit more because you've broken away slightly. Then as he's become, as you say, more divine and less human, he's less my childhood friend. He's less that thing, and he's become something else. So already that death is happening as far as he's concerned, because knowing what happened with Sigmar and in terms of that change, like he became a god, but anybody else who knew him at that point, you no longer have access to that person. That person is gone from your life, and if that's not what death is in that environment, then what else is? So as far as Gerhardt's seeing, Leopold is here, but he is turning into a ghost,
grieving like that.
Love it.
Shadow of the man he used to be.
And that's an interesting choice of words, because it was the shadow that he had that heart-to-heart with, not Leopold.
Yeah, and that.
Which beautiful. Yeah. So there's a bit of history here. What were you before, and what are you now?
With Leopold.
Oh no, for some reason I just went on the Gerhardt. No,
Yeah.
retract.
It's like, I don't remember that subplot.
A good word last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So last
Yeah.
time I wrote pity
Mm.
for Leopold
Yeah.
because she thought that he was idealistic but wrong.
She also thought he was celibate at that time, which I think was part of the
Yes,
pity.
it was part of
which
it.
he did not correct. I did not correct her that he was not because she didn't ask in character.
I think she had an opinion of the person he projected, and it was people that she'd encountered before in Outdoors. It was a very she knew that stereotype,
Yep.
and she did not agree with it.
Mhm.
And therefore it was pity. Like she thought that you were down a path that was incorrect, and she felt sorry for you. Things have changed quite a lot since then.
They have, haven't they?
For both of us.
Yeah.
Just remember the bathhouse.
No, remember the aftermath of the bathhouse.
We had a chat about all that stuff. So, in a sense, she feels closer to Leopold, but she's not quite sure that he's actually really gonna treat her differently when, like, it counts. You know, like, because he said, of course I'm going to be more respectful of your religion and not judge your actions as childish and stuff. But also, like, I think you said something as when we were doing that side episode, you were saying, I don't want to coddle you like
you were a child.
like Birdie and Menowith do. And she didn't really like that.
I mean, 2/3.
When have I ever coddled you?
All the fucking time. Watch the side stream.
Pretty sure you've carried her points.
I've carried all of you at some point.
But her most of all, to be fair. Carry me, Birdie.
Yeah, like, come on. Like,
Uppies.
But there's a difference between, like, the carrying and the things that she wanted because she was portraying a character.
Yeah.
And the way that she feels understood by Elemental Wife and Birdie. And I don't think
understood, acquiesced to.
she
Handed. Pandered.
there's definitely
I'd like to change my word to bitch.
Have you watched my side stream? Because I was worse than that.
I'm going to now.
and then she's also concerned that whatever shadow loophole was there / thing that's in his soul, like that's never left. How much is it controlling his actions? Like she just is conflicted about it.
Is that what it is? Conflicted?
Yeah, maybe.
Pity to confliction.
Conflicted.
Is there more? If it's not conflicted, where is she slotting herself instead?
I was thinking, considering like misguided which is similar, but in a different
In a
way.
new sense.
In a new sense.
Oh, yeah, like something's leading, like
Yeah, like
Oh, something's
he's
leading him
getting-
astray. Like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
like
he's
that.
getting
Yeah,
missions,
yeah.
but from whom? You know?
Yeah, like that. Misguided. Good one. Hey, Ulrich.
So Leopold originally was wary because he'd been warned of Leopold by different people because he would basically he'll be the reason you die.
Wizard.
And, yeah. Now he thinks
The demon summoning. I mean, you didn't do it yourself.
I actually think he'd be proud to die next to Leopold. So the word I'm going to choose is stalwart.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I think at this point, if shit hits the fan, I know you'll be there. I can't say for anyone else. No, but like,
No,
if we think of like in that moment, in that
Mm.
crunch time, let's say, like Yume's
Dagmar's
not
floating
to
by.
go forward.
She
It is to hang back.
literally stabbed Dagmar in the crotch.
but it's like oftentimes
Yes.
I'm going to hide. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Alan
Like
Alan
he's
Moore
not, he's
Moore
not
has
criticizing her
to.
for it. It's just a fact
Yeah.
that tactically that's
Birdie will be there, but again, he's
Weary.
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
he knows if he has to face down the hordes in the north, Leopold will do it by his side. So he's gone from wary to being he's stalwart.
Yep.
And
like
obviously when Elric revealed about being a witch, there wasn't condemnation. There wasn't anything, put him on a pyre or anything. It was just, it is who he is. And Elric doesn't know who he is, so it's nice to hear someone say that. So yeah, stalwart.
I like that because it speaks to a lot of his own fears as well. And how the realization of the complexity of the characters around him has in some ways significantly improved his opinions of them, but in others has made him equally more wary as he realizes people are complicated.
You're writing all these down, aren't you? In a better way than I am.
I think we should draw Barracool and go north.
Let's do it. One hand each on it.
No, we do
We've
we
not
do
tried
need to
that,
do
have we?
Because my call is way up now.
We
Since
tried that.
So we do need
Two
to
Sorry,
try
this
to
drawing at the
is
same
a
time.
couple, not a throuple.
I don't care. You guys can try
We'll get
that.
you your own room. We'll get my little baby's first room. Fine. Yeah.
Rune knife.
Rune scalpel.
Rune scalpel.
Perfect.
Okay, reveal.
I think that so last time she had the word bound, like she felt she was just bound together with him and
On
just
similar purpose.
on similar purpose. And she still feels like that. And she's kind of gone backwards and forwards with being like frustrated with each other, but then
Talking it out.
talking it out.
Okay,
And I
yeah.
think for her, especially in terms of Middenheim, there's so much we wouldn't have been able to find if Leopold hadn't just been like, this is the way. This is the way. I see this vision. I see that. And she's like, well, I don't really know who's sending him the visions, but like,
Gets results.
gets
Okay,
results.
yeah.
It's working.
And we know that's what you like.
Yeah, well, yeah. And the shadows like scary, but you know. So I think maybe it's still the same. Like she just feels like she has to stick by him, and she's bound.
Bound. Oof.
Bound.
I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
quite
so.
liking it.
And I think just to go back to Birdie, I think I've been thinking about it. Like Birdie's always been there. So like in Castle Wittgenstein, when Alan Menowith got bashed by the ogre and she woke up and it was Birdie that saved her. Time and time again, Birdie has been there for her in emotional circumstances, in the Ulrich's case. So I think it is more scared. It's not distrusting because she does trust Birdie. And she's scared
And that brings fear.
that
Like
she'll
that.
be wrong.
Or is it
Yeah.
like it's almost more like vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Like you almost feel vulnerable because you trust her, rely on her, but you worry
Yeah, I
that
think
you might not.
but I think it's fear. It's like she's just scared.
Scared of what she represents and what she may
And
do.
I think if she
given what she
found
has
out
done.
what some of the guys look, she'd be devastated because she thinks that they're like friends. Like she talks about, she's like my friends.
Like
She'd be
that.
mortified, I think.
Like that. So, the good father. How does she
So
consider him?
originally I had wary
Mm.
because when we first set out, the good father kept referring to me as blessed. I glow with a holy aura, and it was making me very uncomfortable because A, it was more scrutiny than she was comfortable with, and B, nobody wants to be told that they're holy, especially not with the background that she's got. The world has moved on, and time and time again, when there's been a fight to be had, we've been toe to toe. Shoulder, well, yeah. Yeah, except you had better roll. So I was, I was getting smacked more often because your rolls were better, but I'm not bitter, it's fine.
So you would absolutely hand him his arse now. You are so much better.
Yeah, but I think that's us looking out. I think for her, she sees him as a comrade in arms. She respects his fighting ability, but she's also worried about him because he's a shadow of his former self, no pun intended, because you were getting pulled in so many different directions. And every time you have one of these visions, and she grew up with people having visions, they take it out of you.
Inspired.
And I think she's worried that fundamental stability and groundedness of Father Leopold, the Sigmarite warrior priest, it's now much shakier ground, not
And
through
the
choice.
shades of grey have slowly drawn in.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily through your choice, but through circumstance.
Because from like my perspective, he's actually far more grounded than he was at any point in the campaign.
Yeah, but
like he's got his purpose now. He knows what he's doing. That's interesting. I love
but
that.
she doesn't necessarily see it from the theological
Yeah,
perspective.
exactly. But and also, it's not necessarily something that he's articulated because it's his inner journey. So I like the fact that that's
she sees
not seen.
She sees the visions, and then she sees you on your knees, or blind or deaf for days, and going, "This is rough. This is really rough for him." So she's kind of, it's not sympathetic.
Concerned?
Yeah, concerned or worried about you. But
Is worry laced into where his character is going, or what influences he may be under, or just the fact that he's losing himself perhaps to something else from your perspective?
yeah, it's the fundamental
or is it you're worried
changes.
about what he respects? Because as you say, he's like your comrade at arms. That doesn't necessarily go with the word worry.
Yeah, he's I think of all the characters, and we've all undergone a lot of changes, Leopold has gone through the most obvious. He's lost his eyes. He can now maneuver in the dark. He can find his way. He has crippling visions. This is very different from the man she originally met.
Yeah, quite.
And yeah, she's worried about him, worried for him. So concern's probably a better word.
Yeah, concern.
Concerned.
Like it a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, Gerhardt. Sorry, no. We got there in the end. Oh man, what a mistake of the maker. Right, so or
yeah. Originally, I wrote wistful.
Wistful.
Yes. And that continued for quite a while.
It did. I think part of it, I think I spoke about it in one of the side streams. Part of it was her gripping tightly to a time that things were simpler.
Yep.
Because she did like him when they were kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, seeing him again when she was lost felt like safety, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But he's not really the person she knew.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, like, he's got the playful adventure side sometimes, but he's much more serious now, and also much more guarded.
Mm-hmm.
I think. You're not very good with emotions.
There was a point, I can't remember what it was. It was a heavy moment. I think you may went to make a joke to Gerhardt, and I remember just going, "Not now." And I think that was quite like
brutal.
A moment.
Yeah.
Watershed moment. Yeah.
Oh, a dick.
Yeah.
So what does that sum up as? What does she feel?
I feel like she thinks it's important for Gerhardt to have people he can trust, and for people to be around him who will tell him he's poking bullshit.
Why is it important?
Because increasingly there's more people that he can't trust.
But what difference does that make? Why does she
She
care
feels
about him?
responsible for him. Maybe.
So she feels responsible.
In a sense, she feels like.
So she views his failings that are being presented to her. And what failings? Yeah, she views,
many failings.
She views his failings, and she feels vaguely responsible for that.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. So interesting. Why? I'll let you mull on that. I'm going to skip there and go over to
pee really bad.
I also need to.
Good. That gives us an opportunity to turn to Elric while she goes off and contemplates that with Andy.
I really hate saving Andy. Yeah, I feel like I've been pretty quick off the mark for most of the names that have come up, and I'm trying to think of the right word. So before, Elric wrote kindred, because I think both felt out of place, lost.
Required things of by their families. Yeah.
But I don't think he feels that anymore. I think it's great. He's seen you earn a place in the world.
Mm.
Like you're not just I'm a noble, give. You want to give back by learning to be a doctor. But he's super concerned about your channeling ability because it's going to kill us all.
yeah.
So he's kind of then switching
like worried
to be not worried, so to speak, but like responsible / watchful.
Yeah.
And he really wants you to come meditate more. But there's also the worry that might kind of open his flows without his control over it.
Got mad flows, bro.
So he's not.
You set fire to the bed.
Yeah, he's
just sort to shreds rather than set fire.
No,
to
I almost set fire to the.
Oh
yeah.
Because of all the action.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like wary. I think responsible might be. Is that the correct term?
I don't know. What does he feel when he looks at him? Does he feel, oh shit, there's a problem here? Is that what it is?
No,
is he problematic?
feels
is that where
there's
the
potential.
comes from? Okay.
And if Elric is the only one with his shit together when it comes to magical knowledge, then there should be some way for him to guide him through. But as you said, it's like teaching a fish to breathe.
Yeah.
But who he is, he's going to get that fish to breathe one way or the other. It's just he's not sure how to go about it without horrible things happening.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely a responsibility there then. You definitely get that sense that he's looking at a problem that sits before him and he perceives that he is most likely the only one that can potentially fix it and, importantly, from the group as a whole, keep him safe. And I don't mean keep him safe as in you're looking after him, keep him safe in terms of what he could do to other people by mistake.
But in a sense as well, like to protect him because he's on this path. That's a good thing. Like he wants to be a doctor. He wants to help people. A lot of us want to help people, but in a very different way. You know, Leopold and I's response is kill it. And that is a good thing, but he wants to help by helping others, which is a big difference. So he doesn't want to hold that path at all.
Yep. So what's going to end up on? You're sort of dancing around a couple of different potentials here.
I think it's responsibility keeps bouncing up, but I don't think it's the right because you're free to do it.
Right, so I'm going to take it a slightly different direction in terms of how you've presented it so far, at least. You've made a stab at a couple of different things, all of which have not necessarily suggested that it's not just because it's the magic that makes you responsible. You feel the feeling of responsibility. There is almost a certain level of fraternity being offered here, almost like you're more like a brother, which means you get good and bad.
Yeah.
Not just good.
You're watching someone grow.
Exactly. And you're seeing you've got a certain level of pride for this noble who's lifted himself away from what you consider to be a very poor
brought himself
upbringing.
down.
Which in his view brings him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite. We all know what Elric thinks of nobles. And you're accepting the good and the bad, and you feel responsibility for trying to get him to a better place. There's definitely it's less friend and more of a sort of brotherly, more of a sort of, there's a relationship there that appears.
Yeah, I mean, short of the kin, that's probably not right. No.
Kinship.
Your word was kindred.
Originally, yeah. I mean, but like shorten it down.
Yeah.
Fraternal?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel quite right in tone, does it?
Trying to pin it down.
Yeah.
Maybe come back around and see if I can get anything wrong.
Okay, so we're going to do a second lap here.
It's complicated.
So Alamenoith has got a lot of feelings about Gerhardt, but like she's incredibly impatient and frustrated with him because he asks her for knowledge and she tries to give him knowledge all the time and he just flat out ignores it. Right?
That's another thing that I need to.
Yeah, because for her, like she basically knows nursery rhymes. Right, that's what she knows. And he's like, teach me everything. And she's like, I know nursery rhymes. And here's how I would do it. I just live my life. Like Gerhardt, like live your life. Lie, cheat, like be like me. Do because she's teaching him like an elf. because they just live it.
All of that's not what she thinks about it.
Right, but wait. And the only way she's been taught is by a very vituperous, sarcastic person. And so she's trying to teach him. And the reason she's frustrated and impatient is because he's so far beyond her in intelligence, and she can see it. And she's like, how could I teach you anything? I know nursery rhymes. Why can't you just get it? Like, go and ask lore magic from Elric, who knows way more than me anyway, and just get it. I can't help you. And the only things I can do to help you are like teaching you how I lie and put a face up, and you don't like.
But again, that's a specific circumstance. But what does she feel about him?
Well, I was also going to say she feels incredibly conflicted because, like,
what was your word before?
Indulgent, because Gerhardt knew her. Like as Alamenawife, that when she was really in the role, and now she's like sort of Alamenawife, but is also Maruvial, and she's like really messing up with keeping the lines intact, and she's like he can, like, she just feels like she's messing everything up, and so I don't know what, just like please, like she just wants him to like help her. I mean, she's desperate. Yeah, she feels desperate. Desperate.
Oh, I quite like that. Desperate. Although it doesn't necessarily. It sort of does. Desperate. Is that a good one? Quite like that.
Like desperation. Like please.
Desperation.
Like,
that's better.
Yeah.
Touch of despair.
Or is it just frustration, but there's different kinds of frustration? Like frustrated that he won't listen, but also frustrated he won't do what he should do, but also like is it?
But the clock's ticking and desperation.
Touch of despair.
But also she's not despaired because like he's like such a clever, like he's inspirational sometimes. Like he has these flashes of genius, and she's like, "Yay! Why you don't need me? Like just do it yourself."
Okay, so where does this all tie into her raison d'etre concerning him? And her central
I think it's impatience in that she wants him, she thinks he can be brilliant and she wants him to be brilliant right now because he's brilliant sometimes and she's like, you're brilliant.
That's the word.
That's
the word.
You found it. Impatience. Ding, 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 ding. Excuse me. Okay, impatience.
That's 150 HP, right?
Nice try.
Damn it! I thought I'd inceptioned you.
I've got.
Where does Birdie settle with our toffee-nosed doctor with magical issues?
Birdie wouldn't necessarily put this word on it, but Kath will on her behalf. Birdie loves Gerhardt, and that's been a growing element of everybody around the table. When she had an absolute meltdown at Castle Wittgenstein, it was Gerhardt that turned up and didn't berate her. Everybody else had a bit of a pop, but he just wiped off her face and asked if she was okay. He has pieced her back together more times than I care to imagine. Will overlook the demonic infection. That was unavoidable.
And that was really her fault.
Exactly. We don't know that for sure.
We know our characters don't. We know that.
His reaction to her getting killed in Middenheim on the field, all of it adds up, and she's never had anybody that's been so caring about her without expecting anything.
Is it love or is it loyalty?
I think it's love. Loyalty suggests a sense of I owe him something.
Like duty and
duty.
That's why I'm checking.
I don't have that.
Good.
She doesn't
like that. Good to confirm.
So she kind of she'd die for him, I think. Nice. She's certainly heading that way.
Love it.
Can we just establish then I don't owe you any money for the
No, she specifically said love, not loyalty.
Gerhardt doesn't owe Birdie money, but Ed for Kath saying that.
Specifically.
Love it. Okay. Older brother Leopold to little brother Gerhardt.
I mean, it's very simple. Pride.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pride.
He's finally fucking doing it. He's being himself. He's being a man. He's making choices. He's taking actions. Stupid actions, frustrating actions. He does still have that brotherly thing that he absolutely knows how to wind Leopold up.
And vice versa.
Yeah, but at its heart, pride. Absolute pride.
I think that'll do. I'm quite liking that. What were you before?
Responsibility.
Oh, good. That's good as well. That shows some lovely progression
because he was just flopping around like a man-sized baby, unable to look after himself or do anything of any
like
use
before the
to
show.
anybody. Yeah, exactly. When he was, free balling it, oiled up like an angry toddler.
That's why we were late. Sorry.
But but now, the choice to become a doctor, for instance, like that's not what, certainly not what his father would have chosen, and it's not what anybody would have predicted, but it was the right choice for him. He's using his talents, and he's accomplishing great things with those talents.
He is.
Pride.
Great. And you can quite clearly see that he saw an issue and chose to resolve it. Yeah. Okay. Pride. I'm pretty sure that's not where our favourite Yumi is. Have you decided?
So I was thinking about it. I think she's also really frustrated because out of everyone, I think he does treat her like a child more than anyone else.
That's fair.
Because he knew you when you were a child.
Yeah. And she wants to prove him wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said she feels responsible for him because she, maybe I'm wrong, but I think she thought that Gerhard didn't want to be a leader per se. He wants to be useful and he wants to feel needed, but not necessarily make all the decisions. And so maybe she feels like maybe if she does that for him, he'll recognize her as an adult. If she takes over.
So what does that sum up as?
I don't know.
We've got a relatively complicated.
That's why I said lots of words.
We've got a relatively complicated situation here where she is looking for recognition in a variety of ways. And a lot of that is being expressed by her attempting to, for example, be responsible. To be recognized as a responsible party, not as a child. It looks like she is still caught up in his aura. It looks like she's still caught up in what he represents as that older male figure when she was young. And she is responding to it in different ways to how she was. And she's kind of feeling through it.
Yeah, I feel like she's accepted that they wouldn't make a good couple. Like, he doesn't seem to want a relationship in the way that she would want to be in a relationship.
Does she still want it? She's accepted it, but does she still want it? Because I would suggest a word that is obsession. If from what you've said, you've moved on from having a crush on him to being I'm going to make him notice me in a different way. I'm going to show him that I'm the best leader I can be. I'm going to and that is when you're a teenager, you get obsessed with people.
Yeah, it's what teenage life is like sometimes, and there is definitely an undertone of that.
Yumi is still a teenager.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
she's 18.
18. She's definitely in those early years where she's yet to make her mistakes,
but it might
see
not
it
be.
all through.
Yeah. And this is only because I don't know the right word to do it, and it'll sound like I'm very much bigging Get Her Up. so pinch salt this. That's
just
lot.
you and normal.
That's you lot as well. But inspiring, because it sounds like you're looking at him and trying to change yourself to be better.
Is it not motivating?
Motivating, but change that. You see what I'm trying to get, right?
Is it to make herself better, or is it to make him think she's better?
Yeah,
that's
either
either.
But they're different.
Yeah, the core cause is the important thing. Why?
Yeah.
Ultimately, why? And the why appears to be, I'm not sure obsession is the correct term. I'm not sure it's not the correct term. But there is certainly more thought in terms of how she is perceived going on there.
I think, the thing is, right, she's wanting to be treated more like an adult and kind of fill the role that she was born to be, Princess Ume or whatever. Independently of Gerhard, she's always wanted freedom to choose who she wants to be and stuff. But he feels like a first step.
Okay, yeah, but is he then exactly that? A stepping stone towards that,
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily one that she recognizes, in that she doesn't look at Gerhardt and say, if I could make Gerhardt think this, then I could become this.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a significant part of her that's seeing that. It's like, I can't be those things. I can't even make Gerhardt think those things. How could I make anyone think that? If I can't even make him think that?
Yeah. And he's an idiot.
Exactly. And her immediate first thoughts are that. And again, that doesn't mean that there isn't an underlying motivation which isn't close to the overthinking a particular situation. And that's not necessarily, again, obsession, but there's certainly a bit of overthinking going on there.
Yeah.
But I do think also it speaks to her general overall.
But could it also be disdainful? Like, you always call him an idiot. She's like, I need to get Gerhardt to think of me like
but
that.
is that
She's
not
quite
like the
disdainful.
childish thing to be like, yeah, it's negging, right?
Yeah,
Is it though, or does she actually?
She is frustrated at the way he sometimes makes decisions.
I
Preoccupation.
think we've all, like, as characters, all thought Gerhardt's an idiot.
And we've all
my
been
word-
frustrated. by
My
it.
word is literally frustrated. No, it's impatient now.
Impatient?
But it was rooted out of frustration.
Yeah.
You just can't see the things I can see. That's the problem.
No, but
Wow.
that
Cold, bro.
That's quite
Cold.
literally the
that is
That is
true.
the
You can see, but then you can see shorter. You know, like you're looking too far away.
Guys,
instead
this
of
language is hurtful.
You can't perceive.
What about preoccupation? I've just put obsession into thesaurus.
No, preoccupied that's a good idea.
Is the idea that she's thinking about him all the time?
And I don't think she is,
Yeah.
because I think she's
No.
got her own issues that she's
Yeah,
attempting to see through.
Like, she wants validation.
Yeah.
Schmidt has put that in the chat, validation, and I think it's
Yeah, but
kind of there. I don't know if it's fully.
Yeah,
that's not how she feels.
Yeah, it's not how
Towards
she
it.
feels about him.
Yeah, there is. He is definitely providing.
Well, we could put two words and say seeking validation, but
Hmm?
like, is that, are you seeking validation from him? Is that fundamentally what it is? You want him to validate adult you as a person,
Or is it just something as simple as, like, prove him wrong? Like, you're not doing it for Gerhard, but you're doing it to show him that he was wrong in dismissing you?
Yeah, or renegotiating. You've had a series of relationships with Gerhardt. There was the childhood friendship, then there was the crush. Now you're in a process of renegotiating your relationship with him, but you're finding it hard because he keeps treating you the way
maybe
he used to.
confused.
Yeah.
Confused, yeah.
And I know that's
Yeah.
really obvious,
Yeah.
but she clearly doesn't know really how she feels. She
Conflicted.
vacillates between moving between calling him stupid and then recognizing that he's quite brilliant to finding him incredibly difficult to be around.
He needs to be channeled.
Indeed, and thus some word around confusing or conflicted or uncertain, or that's not very good either.
What's confused in the thesaurus?
We're gonna have to go into round 3.
Well, Elric's got Gerhardt's one.
Mhm.
Grudging Guardian.
Grudging
Because
Guardian.
he's a fucking idiot at times. But his heart's in the right place.
Grudging Guardian.
And it's
So-
alliterative, so it works.
So we leave you for the moment to contemplate it.
I looked up confused, and one of the words is chaotic, and I'm like, no.
But the small thing.
Yeah. I'll think about it, but I think somewhere around
Conflicted,
Conflicted,
confused,
yeah.
uncertain, unsure, all those
Yeah.
sort of words somewhere around there. Okay.
Ambivalent.
Pardon?
Ambivalent.
I don't think she's
No.
ambivalent.
She wishes she was ambivalent.
Yeah, she wishes she was ambivalent.
Ambivalent.
Yeah, she's ambivalent.
Higgledy-piggledy.
All right.
Askew.
Princess Ume. Elric.
Right, originally Elric had mysterious.
Yep.
I'm going to throw a word out.
So originally back then she was nothing more than
She was a follower.
An enigma.
Someone-
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
sitting on the periphery, someone that Gerhardt knew, who was clearly
And he
from
outed
the-
her immediately.
Yeah, someone who clearly presented as someone from the lower orders of Altdorf, but had an odd background because Gerhardt obviously knew her, and also was clearly walking in Ranulph's footsteps.
My word is brat.
Rude.
Hear me out.
Okay.
So, Elric's had fun with Yume. There are things that we've done, like doing the maze, but there is just times when she's yet to grow. She's the youngest in the party. It's just you're there for fun times, but he's not seen you all the time sober up, let's say. So he still has that kind of you're a brat. It sucks all your family stuff, and he's witnessing that now, but it's still like and he needs to see it. Not because I keep saying I need to step up, and not that you've not, but there's just not been that one moment.
But I think that's fair, because a lot of the times where you has been in side streams. And a lot of your side streams have been much more serious and much more, but obviously Elric hasn't experienced those because he hasn't been like Leopold has seen that side of you, Alameno.
The quiet, reflective part is yet to be expressed. Quite.
Because like not quite as much as Alameno, but to a certain extent, you're playing a role sometimes as someone else, and you're
But even if you think of like you wanted to learn to meditate, but then you didn't really do it. And it was kind of
horrible shit.
Yeah, but it's still in his head that
you could have just like
it's
okay. Leopold started teaching her.
Fundamental misunderstandings.
Yeah. I feel good about Brat.
Hey, you go with it.
Yume, Alameno.
I think she feels like a kinship with her. Like she's a little sister, like almost a sibling relationship. Like sometimes, like she sees Yume as like they kind of do stuff together and it's good fun. But then sometimes Yume just like is so sure about things, and Alameno is like, wow, where did that come from? But ultimately, like I think she sees her like a little sister.
So how would you like this little sister? Is that who you want?
Yes,
little sister. Interesting. Yep. Nothing huge to say to that. Seems relatively fair, and also speaks to many of the frustrations that Yume is currently going through, which is that she's attempting to move herself out of the little role, so to speak. The very same situation that Elric, in some respects, is seeing, where he sees a different aspect of her. Quite like that.
It doesn't help that they keep calling her like a child elf wherever they go. They're like, is this a baby elf?
Oh dear. So what does Birdie think of our Nipponese diplomat doctor?
Diplomat.
Wow, a diplomat. That's creating a visual image.
Not good.
Oh, it's something very Cinchian about that.
A diplomat.
Yeah, a map made of nipples. Like I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it.
Ed Gein right there.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Anyway.
Mind bleach.
Yeah. So Birdie was originally very unsure about Yume because of the Ranaldon connection, because she was very sneaky, and because we had that past, and at the time you weren't supposed to know about that past. It was like, oh crap, this is really worrying. That's all kind of water under the bridge now.
It is.
And I think Birdie's view of Yume now is coloured by her experiences and what she's seen. And she's seen Yume pining for Gerhardt and getting her teeth kicked in.
Not that aggressive.
No, but
Emotional.
I don't know. I don't pay attention.
You don't do emotions.
Exactly.
She's watched her go from this sort of sprite-like, almost kind of light-hearted, carefree kind of kid character, because you had your fox spirit and you were sneaky and you were Ranaldon, and all of that has unravelled, so you're now carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And by comparison to Birdie, you are by far and away the smallest member of the party, so she towers above you. So I think probably the best word is it's around being protective of you. Going with you to see your mum, because I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't like the idea of you being there on your own. Making sure you don't drown in deeper water, because we've done that a few times.
You've got short legs.
Because you're
rub it.
but there's.
I see that smirk.
Can I just pause and say they've just entirely validated everything I said? You see that right there, right? You see that they've just validated everything I said.
What did Andy say? I wasn't listening.
Little sisters can be grown up too.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
I'm
really
my brother's little sister.
Yeah.
And he doesn't cuddle me, but he'd still say I was his little sister.
I'm more interested in what Birdie has to think here, rather than the devil and the angel, or the angel and the devil on either side there.
I'm used to it. It's like white noise.
It's fair.
It's fair.
I think with Yume, it's a protectiveness because she sees somebody else who's trying to figure out who the hell she is. So she kind of relates to that too. But she can't ask in quite the same way. So she's kind of envious of your ability to go and ask those questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think protective is probably the best word.
Protective is good.
Yeah. But in more than just a sense of with a sharp knife.
So,
Just
as
emotionally
ridiculous as this may
protective as
sound,
well.
father to mother, because her official title is mother.
And appropriately, I think he sees her as a peer. That's how he sees her.
Interesting.
She has expertise, and like she's almost not aware of the amount of expertise she has that we don't have. And he certainly was ignorant of that for a long time, but now he sees it. And he
So what was he
recognises it.
originally?
So originally he was intrigued because he didn't understand.
Nice.
And I think at that point, I don't think we knew she was we knew, but I don't think his characters knew she was Ronaldo.
Your characters may not have known that.
And he was like, "There's something funny about her, something shifty," but he wasn't wary, but he was intrigued. And
although I've got a feeling you were aware of the Ranells in connection from the beginning because you had your holy visions right at the very beginning. So you were aware that the Ranel connection was there.
But I didn't write at the beginning because she was near Alamenoith. It was later.
I think you might be right.
Because Alamenoith
Let's
blocks
make
it.
that the case
It
regardless.
was later.
Because I
And
quite
you
like
at a certain point, Alamenoith will be far enough away that you'll get it, but it wasn't at that point. But yeah, now he very much sees her as a peer. Yeah.
Peer?
Yeah, like someone that he would go to for advice.
Not peering at her. No eyes.
No.
Yeah, okay, cool. Like that. That's good. Please for a different complexion as well. Good. Hey, Gerhard. Hello. What do you think of Yume?
So my original word, that's what that is, it was guilt.
Guilt.
My current word is guilt.
Is it a different guilt?
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
Yes, it is.
Tell me more about your feelings.
I can't remember what the first one was. I think now. So, and
Did you feel that before you had dragged her, like she was a victim of knowing you in terms of her family and everything?
Yes, that's what it was, because I thought that the assassination attempt and everything was because I was
a byproduct of
of me, because I felt everything
Because you're the center of the universe.
Yeah. Now it is. So he is aware that was a thing. Like you can't be that blind of emotional or that emotionally unintelligent.
You're also told a bunch of times.
Yeah, that too, which helps. And even in that case, I went, "What? No, really?" But you then have to figure it out, don't you? And actively then also distance himself again. Number one, because at that moment in time he thought that there was a lot of targets on his back. So again, also don't want to have somebody else who could be leveraged to use against him. Like he literally took that book up to be magical so that he didn't inherit, so that he was no longer an issue for that front, because we figured out that potentially going off to colleges was less of a risk than being a political pawn, right? Annoyingly, the swordfish is a thing and you can still inherit, and it's changed
It's
nothing.
bullshit. It's just bullshit.
All I've got is 2 problems now.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was I've gone. He understands that somebody's there looking at him as a love interest or whatever it is. I mean, why is the first one like genuinely. I don't think, because he's got a lot of self-confidence issues and not matching up to what is perceived as worthy. So why would other people? He's figuring that out. And because of that, it was pushed away, right? When she's been like, aware and in his face and conscious with it. But every time she's gone down or every time she's taken a hit, he's tried to be there to fix her, right?
Yep.
At a loss of a fate point at one point, which is fine. We're okay with that.
Who needs fate points?
But yeah, it's fine. So, but knowing that that's still doing some sort of like a bit of an emotional damage to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking the same thing.
So guilt on that front.
Guilt.
But it's different.
I think I might need to change my Yumi one.
Oh, okay.
Because what she did to that spirit was absolutely terrifying.
It was, wasn't it?
Like, fundamentally terrifying.
Scary little sister.
Scary little sister.
The ring girl.
Creepy little sister.
So how
And
did
she
that
doesn't
impact?
seem
'Cause
to,
that was a
like-
very recent thing.
And, like, she doesn't even seem to know how much power she had, like, how much power that is. And it was just done, like, it's out of balance, let's do it. And she might have, like, fundamentally ruined something that the elves have been planning for. So, not that Alamanith doesn't care about that necessarily. She just finds that quite overawing. Like, what the fuck did you just do?
Does that change her view on Yume as largely a little sister figure? I mean, a little sister can have awe-inspiring talent or capability. That doesn't change the fact that you view her, broadly speaking, in a little sister role.
Yeah, I think maybe just little's the wrong word.
So maybe just sister.
Just
maybe
like
it's
sister.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes it simpler. I do like a one-word option rather than two.
Sisterly.
Guilt, love. Have we got any
Some
skip?
more.
I do believe that you still haven't landed on your one for Gerhardt yet. Am I right?
Yeah, I still have confused/conflicted.
Confused.
That's
Conflicted.
fine,
I mean,
folks.
do you need to go any further? I think we've got a pretty good story building there. And I think the fact that you can't even land in it very much reinforces that one as a good one. Alrighty.
Love me.
Elric.
Please say nice things.
Is it me to do it?
Elric.
Money,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. So, Anna Menowith, like, I'm not sure what her feeling is. I just can't quite get the word for the feeling.
Lust.
No. Like, she finds him, like, she's in awe of him. She thinks he's, like, super brave. Like, really, like, he sticks to his beliefs in a way that, like, she just finds really impressive. And she wants him to like her because, to begin with, like, they got off on the wrong foot. And, like,
Obsidian.
the obsidian, yeah. And she really regrets it because it was just, like, an off-the-cuff thing. And then I just think she really... Like, he knows so much more than her about some things that she really, like, relies on him. Like, she knows that he's always, if she says to him, Elric, we need to stand here and do this, or what do you think? He'll always, like, answer genuinely. I think she trusts him.
Trust. Good one.
Yeah.
Particularly from someone who, by their very nature, distrusts everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
really likes
trusts
that.
him.
Underneath it, trust.
The usual
Good.
one was protective. Interesting.
And
Yeah,
how it
well,
shifted.
it shifted from protective because she doesn't think he needs her protection because he's so
He-
much better.
Well,
than
he
her.
started off as an apprentice.
Yeah.
And when you first knew him, he was an apprentice. He was unsure. He was in a world that wasn't his own, surrounded by people he wasn't that sure of as well. And then, but now he's a full wizard.
Yeah, and
he's
she
very
like
much
looks
his
at
own
him.
man.
He's grown so quickly,
Yeah.
and she's like, "You've outpaced me so much, so quickly," and I just like
He's
help
grown
me,
up.
Elric.
He's grown up fast.
He's grown up fast. Yeah.
And not necessarily always in a way that you approve of.
No, like there's some things he does that are really stubborn and
Yeah. Yeah.
Elric-y. But she's like, but that's part of his character.
Yeah.
That's what she also likes that about him.
Yeah. No, I get that. Love it. Where do we go with Birdie?
This is
There's a complicated relationship.
This is a difficult one. Because she was really hurt
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
way he treated her. Intellectually she understood his reasons, but everybody else was a lot less condemnatory, and from Almenimoth being super supportive, and she was most worried about Father Leopold, and he was actually
Give you a hug.
It was
calm
all right,
about
yeah.
it. Whereas the person she trusted most in the world didn't talk to her for weeks.
Mm.
Weeks. So I think she's carrying
Still hurt.
Yeah, I think she's carrying a big burden of hurt. And I think that's probably the
Pain.
closest. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily change how she thinks about him as a person, but it's going to make her a lot more wary.
So where's our word landing? Weary,
Hurt, I
pain,
think.
hurt.
Yeah, she's carrying a lot of hurt. Outwardly, she'll be fine with it, but she's working her way through it. She's...
Yeah. No, that's good. Love it. Father to Magister.
So
well, wizard.
Yeah, so like Leopold had like comrade before, and I think like, and I don't know if it's lame to use the same word, but like everything that you said that Elric feels about Leopold is exactly what Leopold feels about Elric. That if he needs somebody to stand shoulder to shoulder with and fight, he knows it'll be Elric. He knows if he's like, we have to stop this, he'll be like, okay, even if it means he dies. So potentially stalwart, just to mirror the fact that it is he feels exactly the same.
Actually, quite like the mirroring there.
What's the talent that if you stand together, you
Drilled.
I mean, you can't really use drilled.
Phrasing.
I petition to have it named to pegged, but apparently that's not okay either.
That's a different relationship.
I'm not
we need to do that relationship chart, right?
Who fancies who slept with who? How men away.
Just Gerhart's dad, really.
Greta.
And Gerhard. What'd you have before?
Subject.
Yeah. Because it was quite funny at the time, being like, Kindred, and he's my subject.
He's just
How's that
he's just a
modified
pleb.
and changed over time?
I respect him now.
Respect.
Yeah. Because in the way that he also sees Elric as a potential teacher for what's going on with him. Elric feels like he's not stopping me, you know what I mean? In the way that we talk, like when I have engaged him, like, yeah, he's done that's not how it works kind of thing. But that's still better than the way that Alaminawide has approached it, which is, I don't know. Yeah, and you obviously do. But I'm not going to get started on that again.
Just change yours for her to bitter.
I've just seen him channel a volcano, and stood next to him whilst he was doing it to try and figure it out. Didn't do anything. I felt nothing, but still trying to, respect. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
I don't like that. And where do we go? What is the counterpoint to Brat?
Himbo?
Yeah, I mean, he's been nothing but helpful and reliable to her. In many situations, he's helped her avoid the worst of a lot of situations. So, I don't know. Fond? Warm?
Fond? Warm?
Warm's good.
Friendly?
Yeah,
warm is
right
wizard. Yeah, warm. Can't go wrong with warm.
Yeah, I think so. Like,
Kept you safe.
yeah, exactly. Like, she...
Won a prize.
And you've had japes.
Yeah, exactly.
Shapes.
Pretending to have sex in a wood and pardon me, a big hedge maze.
And you loved it when he wrapped his strong arms around you. You stopped
Exactly.
like reading the book.
It was very warm.
Yeah, warm.
Warm. Okay, so perfect. I think we've done them all, haven't we?
Yeah.
We haven't. Because I would also like you to do one for yourself.
I was gonna say we should
Beat
do
you
that.
to it. One for yourself.
Well, how you
How
do you
does
feel about
how does your character feel about themselves? So, for example, are you confident about yourself? Do you think you're a great person? Are you the exact opposite? Are you lost? Are you certain? Are you brave and you think of yourself as brave? Or do you think of yourself with deep concern? Are you really bothered about who you are? Are you, in fact, inspired? Are you very much the opposite? There's lots of different options that we can go for. But I think this is a nice new extra little step.
Yeah.
And I will start with, I'm going to go back in reverse order, but I'm going to start with Gerhard because he's already been thinking about it.
So what do you? I don't know how to put this into a singular word. But what do you call it when you're continually working on yourself? Like you're
like self-improvement, like that.
Yeah, but like
work in progress.
Evolving.
But through self-critical,
Evolving.
like being self-critical,
Like
of
reflective.
yourself. reflective, evolving?
So I think there's this is quite hard because characters are complicated. We have multiple facets at all times. We're never just one thing. And whilst that's true, then as you mentioned earlier, you also have he quite clearly has a severe lack of self-confidence, which manifests in almost the exact opposite way, because it pushes him in another direction.
Well, it's
someone in the chat said mutating.
Not yet.
Good comment out there.
Introspective, I quite like. Like, he thinks about himself and he thinks about how to improve. He self-reflects. Self-reflective?
Maybe, but he would be more aware of his emotional responses.
I think he wants to better himself more than that suggests.
Yeah,
because as I was saying, with his lack of confidence, he wants to move past that.
Relentless drive for self-improvement.
It's the thing where he's come across issues that he can't fix himself.
Frustrated.
So he needs to go and fix that. The surgery thing, for example, that's where I'm going. I'm fixing that.
He's very focused.
But how does he feel about himself when he looks in the mirror? How does he feel?
So this is the thing: is it not? You don't have to feel it to get to the point. I can see the tool that I need to be. You can take that how you want.
So, are you saying that he uses exactly the same adjective as his father? Calculating.
No, because it's so annoying. It's so self-fulfilling.
Yeah, well, you know.
And if he ever said it out loud, Leopold would say, "I told you so."
Oh, because you hear it from fucking across the room, and you down the stairs, just hear him stamping, stamp.
Told you so.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly not I think calculated, because that's why I'm saying, what does he feel? And you're like, no, that's not the point. Feelings aren't the point.
Yeah, because you are moving past the feelings of what needs to be done. That's calculating rather than emotive.
And even at times when he's expressed emotion, not always, sometimes it has been sincere, but often it's not been. Often it's been, I need to project emotion to make that person feel better. And sometimes altruistically pretending, but it is pretending.
Psychopaths?
Yeah, a psychopath.
Yeah, psychopath. I don't like calculating, but I'll take it.
Oh, harsh.
But you asked how we feel about ourselves. Is that not what we think about ourselves?
But as you said, he's pushed right past the feeling.
Yeah.
It's actually calculating as in processing. He's still
super
calculating.
Well, I think how he feels about himself, he needs improvement.
If it's how I feel about myself, incomplete.
Yeah.
Right. That, but something else that
I like that too.
That's more emotional because it is how you feel.
I like that.
So.
Yeah. And we spoke. I think we have hovered around the truth of it all, which is he is his father's son.
No, I'm not.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said to his father.
Genealogically, there's a question mark.
Actually,
that's fair.
Good point.
That's fair.
So let's go round to the father. So we'll go round the other way.
I think settled. Now he feels settled. He's found. He thinks he's found the balance. He thought he knew who he was, and then all this seer stuff happened, and he's like, "What is this all?" And he asked himself a whole bunch of questions, and got mired in doubt, and didn't know what he was doing. And now he's kind of come to, well, actually, you know what? Those questions don't matter. I can just accept those things. These are the things we need to worry about. And I think he feels settled,
at peace.
Yeah,
more aware of the bigger picture.
Yeah,
so less concerned with the specifics.
Yeah, and resigned to the things that he doesn't have to worry about, but focused on the things he does. And I feel settled or at peace or something like that.
I think that works quite well, particularly when you take a look at the character that he presented near the beginning, where, for example, Birdie would have been a problem. If she just outed, oh, by the way, I deal with mutants and beastmen and stuff. He'd have been like, yeah, here's my hammer. It would be bad. I channel more than one wind of magic. I am a deeply illegal witch. He would have not been happy in those earlier points.
Fetch the kindling.
Everything that you have told me about yourself is a lie. To Gerhardt's just silly Gerhardt. On purpose, ha ha ha.
Weird. He's fine with everything she'd said was a lie, because he understood it as a religious thing.
Yeah, quite.
So
That
that,
helps.
that he was okay with. But
Everything's complicated.
Yeah.
Everyone is much more complicated than the black and white view that he's often being presented by his cult. But in many respects, his own self-reflection, his own cult is that also.
And that's what it's more that it's more that as he started to see the problems in his cult, like he was like, how do I fix that? What do I do about that? Who's this voice in my head? What does that mean? Who does it? Is that real? And he's coming to that. None of that matters. Noise. He knows what he needs to do.
It's the big picture, and it's what I'm going for. Yeah. No, I like that. That speaks a lot to who he is. I like it. Okay, Birdie. Where's Birdie sitting about herself? She's had a long, complicated story since she's left, effectively as a Gerhardt hunter.
Yes.
So she was sent out by the Skaven to find Gerhardt.
Didn't take you long. I was very efficient.
Yeah. You're good at your job.
That's why we're out. Yeah.
You were sent out to do that. And since then, she has been reluctant to go back to her masters. She has dragged her feet, yet every time that she's had to, she has. And then done the deed, whatever the deed may be. She has found the cold, heartless expression of herself, which is who she's supposed to be. The murdering of all the mutants, for example, back at Castle Wittgenstein. That's what she was trained to do. She was trained to have no feelings, to be heartless, to be empty. And thus, in some respects, in that particular deed, was returning to what she thought she should be, and it kind of broke her. She didn't. She barely even went into combat for weeks, months after that.
Yeah.
She just terrified by the whole situation. Fear. She would not generally associate with emotion, but she was feeling emotions, and they were filling her with fear. Where has she gone through all of that and now arriving at Knight's Panther at the end?
Yes.
And being ennobled in a most unexpected turn of events, receiving recognition in ways that she never expected to receive, receiving a whole host of things she never expected to receive that could very quickly just all vanish when they found out the truth. Very quickly. How did she feel about it all?
How long have you got? You've got a therapist couch. It's an interesting one because she finds herself now for the first time ever having something that she's actually earned for herself. That hasn't been given to her. She's not been faking it. She's not been doing it for the sake of being somebody different. Yes, it's another role. So going back to the side stream with Gerhardt, she has to learn how to be a noble. But she is actually one. So it's not learning to pretend to be something. It's about moving into this.
It's about becoming.
It's about becoming, yeah. And I think, and obviously it's very early doors because she's just been knighted. But I think the evolution is going to be, this is something I can work with. This could actually be mine. Yeah.
Because it could easily be taken away.
Yeah.
Is she scared?
Not scared.
What?
Determined.
Yeah, I was going to say determined.
Determined to grip it.
Nice.
And
Determined.
hold it tight.
Love it. Love it. Questions are handy for pinning that down. Okay, Alan Wife. Sorry, we're looking at Maruvial. We're not looking at Alan Wife.
She is calculating, but I think like the words I've written down are pathetic. Self-contempt, frustrated. Like she knows what she's got to do, but to do it, she can't control it. So she just feels that every turn she does things wrong. She goes too hot and then too cold and then backwards and she's just like, you're just shit. You're so bad at this.
Like unbalanced almost.
No, just like genuinely. Like,
self-contempt.
You're so like, and then she looked at Katrina and she's like, fuck me. Like, that was shit for you to have to pretend to be stupid and you just do it every day. Like, you don't even care. Like, I can't even keep my face up for an hour before I let something like slip because I get so annoyed with someone or like, and so, but the ultimate thing is that she's so scared that she'll do it wrong, that she's doing it wrong. But she knows that, which makes it even worse.
So self-critical.
But she really genuinely like thinks she's really pathetic, especially when you see other elves. Like, they're so much better. And the humans are all better than her at like one thing that they're good at. And she's like, I'm just shit. Like, God, why have they got me? This is the worst. Like, poor
I feel bad
guys.
now.
Like, poor things. This is the worst.
Only
You're such a
Elric can see
teenager,
the
bless
truth.
you.
Yeah, like she literally just feels like, is it pathetic?
It's-
Frustrating.
And it's not a lack of confidence. It's
No, I think underneath it
yeah,
is.
it's
Is
a
it?
complete lack of
it
confidence.
feels like just you're not doing it even though you know you can.
No, because when she tries to do it, she goes too far in one
Right.
direction. Like someone will say to her, like, you're too, like, why are you so sarcastic with your friends? And she's like, shit, I've got to stop being sarcastic with my friends. And then she's like really nice. And then the friends are like, God, what the fuck is wrong with her now? Like she's just being weird again. And she's like, oh, I've done it wrong again. Like, oh, I'll try and go back to the other way. And then someone's like, that's really horrible, Elemental. And she's like, oh no, I've done it wrong again. I can't do anything right. And she's like paralyzed with just
I could put a word in for human school.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love an elf there.
I mean, she is surrounded by people who react and deal with things in a very different
Yeah.
way to her.
Well, you're quite alien.
As we've seen with our few Elven streams, they're pretty much shouting at each other half the time.
Mm.
Overwrought, completely out of control in terms of how normal human interaction works. And she sort of thrives there, but she's in an environment which is quite alien to her. And she feels pretty poor about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think like she feels like isolated.
Oh, incredibly. Like because every time, like, every stream, like the elf, the this, the that, like it's quite othering as an experience for her. And she's just like,
Never
I don't
fit
know.
in.
Never fit in. But she's like, but you're supposed to, like, that's literally the only thing people on your path are supposed to do. Like, what am I doing wrong? What did Jorah say? Oh, and then every stream she's like, oh, I've had a realization, and next time I'll do this, and it'll be perfect. And then it's like, no, that's
It
shit
crashes
too.
and burns in the same way that the previous things did.
Yeah.
And human interactions and relationships prove to be too much of a challenge for her. And she's still focusing and dwelling upon things that they've already moved past.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she then tries to respond to those things, and everyone just sees her and goes, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, like,
Why are you saying and doing these things?
Like left behind, like almost like she's playing catch up all the time.
I mean, she sounds almost like Hamlet in terms of like the overthinking of it all.
Mm.
Like psychologically, she's very like
Oh,
Hamlet.
absolutely. Yeah.
So what does she think about herself? Who is she? Who is she? Who is she?
How does she feel?
How does she feel about herself?
I feel like that's part of the problem. She doesn't know who she is.
So
Or is it that self-loathing? Like you
a
kept
word?
coming back to that feeling self-loathing or
That's quite good.
Okay,
I
and if
don't
you
know.
are going down to say the lost route, where does Katerina come into that and the conversations you've had with her?
And Katrina's like really nice to her and says really nice things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like, frustrated. She's frustrated with herself all the time.
Frustrated?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That seems to pretty much encompass most of what you've ever.
Because it's
Go
not
forward.
like she's not trying. Like she tries really hard. She cares a lot about. Yeah. She cares a lot about
Try
like
all
her
the time.
friends and
in this institution.
yeah. But she like can't quite get it right. It's frustrating.
Yeah. And funnily enough, I was going to say if we could circle back, because obviously I was the first person to go and I've had more time to think about how Birdie feels about Eleanor. Confusing is more because of this erratic nature.
Yeah.
Like sometimes she's totally there for Birdie. Like I'll do like calming her down,
Yeah.
and then other times she's just
Do your hair, whatever.
Yeah,
it
and
may
then
be.
but then
Mercurial.
sometimes she's dressing as different things and then vanishing and we're never quite. So I think I would probably change how I feel about it. It's confusing.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a pejorative, but it's very
Yeah.
You're very confusing, more
How
confusing
about
than used to.
unstable, rather than confusing per se? I mean, she seems to get her at each step.
Mm.
She doesn't seem to be necessarily
Or-
confused.
or somebody else said it like erratic.
Erratic, yeah.
Yeah,
Erratic might
that
be a
might
better
be-
word.
Yeah.
What do you think? Or do you
Yeah.
think confusing's
Some-
better than
somebody
erratic?
said-
confusing's more how Birdie feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Erratic, like
Yeah,
previously,
is
but she
what-
feels
Yeah.
that you're
It's
erratic.
rewards.
The erratic's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because she always saw you kind of as the mother of the group in the early days.
yeah.
Now we're
Me
seeing
and
a
Daddy are
lot more
fighting.
breadth of emotion and a lot. It's very odd behaviour, which
As it moves from
As she's
her playing
spiraling
apart.
out
Yeah.
of
As
control.
she moves from
Yeah.
playing a part to actually
human school
being.
did not prepare me for elves.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You need to go to elf school.
you might be being erratic. I find it confusing.
Yeah.
I think.
And I
Yep,
think
like
it is, because she vacillates between being Alan Renowith and being herself with these guys, because
Yeah.
they're not like Katerina, who she's just like, I'm going to tell you everything. So she's like constantly hot and cold. Like, I'll tell you everything. Oh, but I can't.
So
So it must be very confusing.
Loosely speaking, there's still half a mask involved.
Yeah.
Rather than she's fully masking. When she was at the beginning, when she was Alan Renowith and you met her for the first time, she had
Full
the mask
mask
up and it
all
made
the time.
sense. And as the truth came out and that mask began to slip, the hot and cold, the lack of mask and then mask, both being applied at the same time, sometimes seems her real reactions, and then her attempt to deal with the fallout from their reactions to your reactions. And then you put the mask back up, realizing that perhaps that was an unwise choice. Yeah, you can see how that all falls out. Yeah.
There's a comment here from Shred. This is why Gerhard is so frustrated with Al. They're too similar.
Whoa, that is wise.
Yeah, I like that. So you've landed on.
Oh. Frustrated. So she's frustrated with herself. I think
Frustrated will do fine. How's Elric feeling nowadays? He's gone through quite a lot of ups and downs, actually.
Yeah, but I think he's in a really good place
Yeah.
in terms of himself. He sees himself as carving his own destiny as opposed to what the path or what Maven said he should be. Now, whether that's true or not,
I think we both know our
time will tell. Yeah.
Quite.
But I think he's quite proud of himself. Like, he's not compromised his own morals.
I feel like that will be his downfall as well.
Totally. And if it is, fine.
All I can say is Maven will be proud too.
Yeah. Makes Dan not proud. But yeah, I think in his spot,
I'd say you find yourself,
he's
man.
come out, he's found something else to do from a nice chat with Greta, who like slapped him about a bit, made him find a purpose. And I think it's sad to hear everyone else, but he's like,
I'm collapsing!
yeah.
Pride!
Pretty happy.
like our characters are very much simpatico right now.
Yeah, love it. Hey, you man. How's it feeling out there? What does she think of herself? Not necessarily what's her route or her path. What does she feel about herself?
I mean, she's gone through so much self-reflection and frustration, feeling misunderstood,
And a brief moment of,
Princess
what have I done?
I can't believe I made that bad joke. No, I can.
What were you saying, Kat?
I was going to say, and that period of, oh God, what have I done?
Yeah,
After
exactly.
Wittgenstein.
Yeah, and you're at like double your stress.
Yeah,
level right
and
now.
she's like
right now
stressed
she's
out.
stressed.
I think she sees a glimmer of who she could be. She feels like she's starting to frustratingly understand what her dad and Jiro were saying about like she'll just know when like how to do things, and she's like, "What do you mean?" For ages, and then it just happens.
She just knew
what
one
Yeah.
day.
happened with that spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me cake.
Yeah.
And when she connected with her, this is all stuff you guys don't know about. When she connected with her ancestor / the divine being in the pond through that network, she felt, accepted, seen by somebody, which is nice. So I don't know.
Maybe hopeful about her, like.
Yeah, maybe but very tentative.
Yeah.
Because she's stressed out and she's worried about going to Brasskeep and dying.
So on that, just to see if we can pin down exactly where she is, her father had a particular view on exactly that. How concerned was he for her?
Not really, not at all.
Why?
Because, his view of the world is like, this is all petty.
You're a god. That's
Yeah.
why.
No,
He's
no.
a-
Yeah, quite. But why was he not concerned about you facing off against X, Y, or Z?
He thinks she has the essence to be more than that, better than that.
It's just going to happen. You're safer here than almost anywhere. What you consider to be danger, he considers to be nothing.
Yeah.
How does that reflect in her? Because she can see it for what it is. He was relatively clear about exactly how much danger he thought his daughter was in, although he did also suggest he might die.
Yeah.
But he didn't think you'd be that foolish.
It's kind of like
Has he met us?
Yeah,
From
but
his
it's like when
perspective,
you.
it's almost a choice, not a danger.
Yeah.
So to speak. And does that reflect in her? Does that make her feel, for example, more hopeful? And to use one word, was it you that suggested
Yeah.
hopeful, as in I might be able to see through this, or does that put pressure on her? Because she very much feels like that's an inconceivable pressure, and the pressure also of his exceedingly odd views concerning divinity, for example.
Yeah, I think she probably thinks he's kind of wrong on a lot
Yeah.
of fronts, which doesn't give her the most, confidence. Because, yeah.
So it sounds like she is still a little bit lost, a little bit uncertain. She is a little more hopeful than she was, but
Yeah.
she's certainly not hopeful.
But tentative isn't a feeling about herself.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Growing.
Trepidatious a word? Isn't it a word?
Yes, kind of
It
is.
is, but-
certain uncertain.
Yeah, it
certainty
suggests
to
a
that,
little
though.
bit more wariness. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
perhaps.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a bit more positivity than trepidatious.
Yeah.
Which is, she's definitely in a place.
She's
where she's looking
positively
out.
trepidatious.
Positively trepidatious. She's looking out and she's thinking that this could all work out, but she's afraid. She's caught up in the moment. It's all very dangerous. And
She's worried
it's like-
she's not going to survive long enough to figure this out, I think.
Okay, no, I like that.
That's reasonable.
So what does that pin down to? Who she is underneath it all? Uncertain.
Aware of her mortality.
Yes.
Yeah. Aware of her mortality. Let's lay it on that. So, I would like to conclude on this whole thing, and then we do our little birthday thing, with a quick summary from Kath, because she's got it all written down, and a quick opportunity for people to make some snap changes before I go and make this a thing. Okay, so Kath, I'm starting with Elric and working your way all the way around.
Okay.
Okay, so what does Elric think of everyone?
So, well, can we do
What people think of one
him?
person?
If that
'Cause
makes it
you see, that's
easier
how
for
I
how
wrote
you've
my
got it
notes.
written down, let's
Yeah.
do that.
So let me have a little look. Let me find Elric. There we are. We
Here
did
we are.
him last. So, Al trusts Elric. Birdie feels hurt by Elric. Liverpool sees him as a comrade or a stalwart. Gerhardt has respect for him, and Yume feels warm towards him.
Okay, so does anyone feel that any of that requires a little bit of amendment, or are we quite happy?
Happy.
I still really like Warm and Elric because it just makes me smile.
Aw.
A bright wizard.
It just
Warm.
works.
Lovely.
Just feels like that's the default state.
Yeah.
Could have done a better one.
Yeah, just kind of love it. Right, so, you may.
Elric thinks Yume is a brat. Al sees her as a sister. Birdie feels protective of her. Leopold sees her as a peer. And Gerhardt feels guilty about her.
Oh, nice mix there. Yeah, good mixture of responses. Again, anyone feel like any of that needs changed?
Nope.
Great.
Cool. So on to Gerhardt. Just make sure I've got that. Yume is still working on the word, but we're working around something like conflicted or confused
Conflicted.
for Yume. Elric is his grudging guardian. Al is feeling impatient with him. Birdie loves him. And Liverpool is proud of him.
It all sounds good. Anyone want to change any of that or amend? I'm
Okay.
not sure. I'm uncertain.
I don't know.
I don't know if I want to change.
Just need to add that. So at Leopold, Gerhardt is grieving for him, or grieving for what was.
Yep.
Yume feels he is somewhat misguided.
Mhm.
Elric sees him as a stalwart because Al sees him as bound.
She feels bound to him.
She feels
Bound
bound
to
to him.
Mhm.
And Birdie is concerned for him.
Oh, nice mix there too.
Yeah.
Like that, different outcomes. What's next? Oh, anyone want to make changes there? Very much so. Good. Next.
Okay, me. Liverpool sees me as useful. It's always nice. Gerhard's proud of me. Yume feels kinship towards me. Elric is wary of me, so you should be. And Elvis scared.
Bridge your point. Yeah, pretty much.
Scared of me.
Scared. Oof.
Yeah.
Harsh stuff.
And anybody wants?
Anyone want to make any changes there? Are we happy with those as a bunch of words? Does it all feel that it gives a nice summary of where you're at? Looks like a yes, and then finally.
Alamenowith, I find you confusing because you're a bit erratic. Leopold is protective of you. Gerhardt thinks you're a hypocrite. Yume is disenchanted with you. And Elric is sympathetic.
What a lovely mix.
What is quite the mix, isn't it?
Alrighty, so let us end with our 3 birthday folk. The 3 birthday folk are now in a position where they can give out some gifts to others, since it is gift giving time. And I have no idea what that was, but I'm pretty sure it was.
I just
Still
told her
sad
she's
evening.
getting none. 0.
She stole your fate point.
Swear to God, imagine if I gave you something like, I would have given you a fate point if you had done that.
All right, so the 3 of you are going to write down one person's name to receive a fate point.
Oh.
And no conferring.
Okay.
Okay, and it should be based upon how your character's feeling in general. Now, that won't necessarily mean you immediately go for the one that your character feels most, say, kinship with. It could be the one that you feel needs the most support. It could be the one that you feel is in most danger. It could be the one you feel deserves it. I'm merely giving you some guidance, not a certain go there. But it should be tied to what we've done. So that's that. Next, you can mark out everybody's names in order, not including the one you've given the fate point to, where we will go 100 XP, 50 XP, and 25 XP, and 10.
So you give us numbers again?
100? 50?
Yeah.
25? 10.
I've not paid attention. I'll just give it whoever.
I mean, it's just we need to put them in order, basically.
Yeah,
So we're ranking everyone in order,
Correct.
basically.
My fate point at the top. Gerhard, good. Everyone see me. Everyone see me. I can see that. I've got the fate points. But let's see if that's where it lands. Tell me when you're all done.
It's all based on our feelings.
Loosely speaking, yes.
Search our
Yes.
feelings.
Yeah. Search your feelings.
Search your feelings. Know them to be true.
Go.
Go down there.
It's impossible!
I missed this one.
That was quite good.
Sorry. No.
Yeah.
I can't give myself XP.
You cannot give
Yeah.
yourself
I was
XP.
like, I've only got 5 names. I must be missing someone.
Alrighty. Are we good?
Yes.
No, not quite yet. Birdie's conflicted.
And slow. Let's be honest, just slow.
Hulk is asking if he can give a fate point from all of us missing his birthday.
No.
Oh, we did that
Nice
on
try,
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate
We
the
knew.
attempt.
Yeah, we,
Nice try,
we ignored it. We didn't miss
We
it.
actually had 8 and we edit.
Okay, we're all ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to start off with our 10s.
Oh,
I know, we're going down to the bottom first.
okay.
10s. As in the bottom of yours.
Do a big reveal.
No, you can just say.
Just say. Say just poop.
That's my art.
Rat.
Okay, my 10.
And Yume is the rat.
My 10 is Birdie.
Birdie, it wasn't Sage's poo-poo. Disappointed.
Stand
My
by
10
it.
is also Birdie.
Birdie and Birdie. What's your 10?
Damn.
Dan. Excellent. You have
No,
gained 10 XP each if your name was called out. We now go to our 25s.
I put down Yume, no Ume, no Sume.
75 XP. Holy crap! 25 and
Samesies?
25 and
Leopold.
25. Do love a little ping. Now we're up to a mighty 50.
Louis P.
Louis P.
Gerhard.
Gertie Hart.
Gracias.
50? You may.
You may. 100. I'm enjoying this more than I should.
That's my old audit bill.
It's okay.
What's happening?
100.
100. G money.
Gerhard. 100.
Elric.
Elric.
Oh, you bastard.
Oh, my God.
Another my wife. Take your own hundreds.
Thank you very much.
And at the top of the line we have
Alan.
Ow.
I've just Aloe and then scribbled.
and Gerhard. So for the fate point, we must have a majority, do we?
Yes.
What
So
did we
she
say?
gets it.
We both said Alan.
Yes. So she gets it.
I tried.
You got the
Detective,
fate
you
point.
have to stay alive.
Holy crap sticks! I expected that to come out as a draw. I rather enjoyed that.
So insane.
That was super
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, it's weird
There's
how
some
many
practical.
were the same.
One of these is for you. Don't worry, Gerhard.
No.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say thank you all so much for turning up and watching us spraff about our characters for the last few hours. I think we've had a lot of fun. I think we've learned a little bit about ourselves and where we are. You often find that by simply expressing it out loud, you suddenly realise certain things that perhaps you as a player might not have realised, but the character probably did. And also certain things that as a character, they probably didn't realise, but as a player, you probably do, which in turn modifies possibly how you'll play that character. Because we don't always understand who we are, although we will perhaps act as who we are, regardless of what we'd like to do. That was super fun. Also, I'd just like to say at the end a couple of things. Number one, thanks so much for all the kind words that have been sent in our direction. It's been absolutely lovely. You have been the absolute best. Your support has seen me through everything. It's been great. Number two, we have an Inside the Rookery tomorrow. I'm going to pass that over to Lindsay.
Tomorrow, inside the rookery. The rooks, all four of us, hopefully, if everyone stays well between now and tomorrow, but Andy does need some lamb soup. We will be talking about and taking questions on the creative process. How is it different for a writer, an editor, an artist? Where do we get our creative inspiration from? What do we do when we lock ourselves in our leaky garrets? All of anything and everything. So please join us tomorrow, 7:00 GMT. The clocks haven't gone back yet, have they? No. So we're all good. On the Rookery Publications channel.
And a very important last word from the insympatical priest.
So as Lindsay noted, and again I apologise to anyone if my coughing, spluttering, and blowing my nose is disgusting anyone. I am currently suffering a bit of a cold. I'm in dire need of lemsips, and there's a way that you can help with that, which is go out and buy Dark Deeds. Buy Dark Deeds. It's available now. It's amazing. Buy it.
Don't
or I
send us
might.
lensips.
Yeah, I might.
I can't stress that enough.
50 lenses alive tomorrow.
I mean, I'd be all right with that as well. But buy Dark Deeds. That's more important. Buy Dark Deeds.
Thank you all. You are the best. Until next week when we dive deep into the city of the White Wolf.